Chapter 456. After a full meal, Han Fei and Xia Xiaochan's energy was almost overflowing. Even the hexagon starfish was red all over after eating. The world inside the door was also a magical world. The hexagon starfish could take whatever it wanted to eat in the air. Han Fei thought for a while. Okay. He had to make this guy work harder. So he threw another 2 high-quality spiritual stones, nearly 700,000 points of spiritual energy, to it. It was not that Han Fei was generous, but that he might face a big battle next. Out of the hexagon space, Han Fei said to Xia Xiaochan, "You can use the metamorphosis water now. It is said that there are many people on the lower floor. Just pretend to be them." Xia Xiaochan was a little excited, but after hearing Han Fei's words, she rolled her eyes at him. "Nonsense, I'm not stupid. If I try to rob them blatantly, I will be beaten to death." Seeing Xia Xiaochan's figure gradually fade away, Han Fei took out a total of 7 soul crystals. Yes, these soul crystals were useless to Xia Xiaochan. Even if he had less than 10, his perception range wouldn't be improved much. However, Han Fei needed to use these soul crystals to experiment. He had a feeling that the soul crystals he used and the soul crystals others used seemed to be a little different. However, when all 7 soul crystals were absorbed by him, Han Fei was even more speechless. In addition to the previous one, this was already the 8th soul crystal. However, his perception range didn't increase at all. He didn't remember the 11th God-scaring painting in his mind either. At that time, Han Fei was a little stunned. Are other people like this too? That's impossible. Is it because of the soul crystals or the God-scaring painting? Or should I say, both are problematic? With deep confusion, Han Fei glanced at the hexagon starfish whose big eyes were rolling like wheels of fire. Han Fei felt that there was a pile of sticky stuff on his shoulder, which slipped out of the hexagon starfish's mouth. Han Fei's face turned black. "Master Hexagon Starfish, what did you do?" The hexagon starfish seemed to be thinking about something. Suddenly reminded by Han Fei, it suddenly woke up. His 6 eyeballs were moving around randomly in his eye frames, as if he was drunk. "You ate so many soul crystals, but you didn't give me any." Han Fei was lost for words. "What are you eating?" "I'm still growing, so it's more important for me to eat than for you to eat." "I'm also growing." Han Fei said disdainfully, "You're already several years old. Even 20 of me added together wouldn't be as old as you. You're trying to act young with me." The hexagon starfish said, "Then when you get more soul crystals, give me some." Han Fei glared at it. "Don't push your luck. When I can't use them anymore, I'll definitely give them to you." The hexagon starfish clung to Han Fei's shoulder hard, considering the credibility of this statement. While it was still thinking, it faded away with Han Fei and entered the next floor. When they arrived at the 200th floor, there were only 3 people in sight. Among them, there was a person sitting cross-legged on the ground, seemingly cultivating. The other one was a spirit gatherer who was absorbing spiritual energy with a spirit gathering formation under his feet. The last one was fighting with a basalt conch and seemed to have been fighting for a long time. The hard shell of the basalt conch had been broken by him in 3 or 4 places. These 3 people were all wearing standard clothes, but the spirit gatherer didn't seem to be with the other 2. Seeing Han Fei come in, the person sitting cross-legged immediately opened his eyes. The other guy who was fighting just glanced at Han Fei, a little surprised, but didn't have any follow-up reaction. Han Fei secretly breathed a sigh of relief. These people didn't seem to care too much about him. And they didn't seem to be hostile. He suspected that if they were to start a war, would it attract a large number of people? However, although the fight didn't start, the spirit gatherer said, "Leave quickly and find a suitable place to offer sacrifices." Han Fei smiled and walked towards the man. "Brother, I want to ask you something." The man frowned. Seeing Han Fei approaching him, he couldn't help but be vigilant and immediately shouted, "Just stand there and don't come over." Han Fei smiled. "Well, I want to borrow something from you." The spirit gatherer was slightly taken aback. What is it? Ha! Sea-swallowing seashell. Han Fei knew that these people were not ordinary people and each of them was much stronger than ordinary peak-level dangling fishers. Therefore, when he attacked, he didn't have any scruples. The stick smashed over, and the spirit gatherer retreated quickly. The soul warrior on the other side immediately galloped over. The two sides were not far from each other. Han Fei grinned and shot out the embroidery needle in his hand. The spirit gatherer immediately summoned a big turtle, but with a clang, the big turtle was hit by the embroidery needle and fell to the ground. The blue sea wandering dragon rod in Han Fei's hand had already shot out. Because he was very close to the spirit gatherer, only less than 100 meters away, Han Fei succeeded in one move. However, to Han Fei's slight surprise, the hunter who was fighting with the basalt conch disappeared. He was very fast and had already approached Han Fei. A soul warrior and a hunter attacked, and Han Fei grinned. 6-gate array. At the moment when the purple light rose, Han Fei got out of the 6-gate formation. At this time, another contractual spiritual beast of the spirit gatherer appeared, and a flash of lightning flashed, cutting directly at the blue sea wandering dragon rod. How could Han Fei let him succeed? The fishing line, as if it had eyes, suddenly slanted dozens of meters to the side. After the spirit gatherer fused with his spiritual beast, Han Fei had already approached him. The spirit gatherer pinched an amulet in his hand and Han Fei had already smashed it with the brick. Bam! The spirit gatherer was smashed to the point of bleeding. However, the amulet was still activated, so the opponent's injury was actually not serious. Han Fei grabbed the embroidery needle with one hand, jumped up, and gave him a heavy blow. Even if the opponent had an amulet, he still had to suffer the shock. The man was furious. Who are you? How dare you attack a disciple of the Grand Void Academy? Han Fei grinned. Who am I? Hey, I'm a ghost that takes souls, and I'm a ghost that wants your life. I'm the fearsome black ghost in the level 3 fishery. Hand over your sea-swallowing seashell, and I won't kill you. In the 6-gate formation, the soul warrior and armorist were attacking frantically. However, Han Fei didn't care. If the 6-gate formation could be shaken by two peak-level dangling fishers, it wouldn't be called a 6-gate formation. Even Wang Zitian's powerful sword couldn't shake the 6-gate formation. What's more, these people were much weaker than Wang Zitian. This spirit gatherer still wanted to use his spiritual beast to attack Han Fei. However, Han Fei's embroidery needle burst out with billowing spiritual energy. Smart people won't do this. The sea-swallowing seashell is gone. That thing is worthless. However, if you think I don't dare to kill you and that I can't do anything to you, you're wrong. The quality of this amulet is very good. If I don't kill you, I can cripple you. The spirit gatherer's face changed sharply. He glanced at the 6-gate formation and said via voice transmission, "This is the 200th floor. Judging from the commotion over here, someone will be here soon." Han Fei shrugged. "Ha, you're right. So, I'll only give you 2 minutes to think about it." 3, 2, 1, okay. The spirit gatherer was terrified. Seeing that Han Fei's rod was about to hit his face, what could he do? He was just a spirit gatherer. Han Fei took the sea-swallowing seashell with a smile. "Good boy. Take off your clothes." The spirit gatherer. Han Fei said, "Take it off, or I'll cripple you." The two people in the 6-gate formation were so shocked that they forgot to attack. Why did his best friend suddenly start to take off his clothes? Could it be that the man in black has a special hobby? Thinking of this, the two shivered all over and attacked the 6-gate formation frantically again. The hexagon starfish said, "Hurry up, these two people are very strong." "I'll be ready soon." After sending the spirit gatherer away, Han Fei immediately rushed to the 6-gate formation. After entering, he beat the two of them to the ground with only 2 strikes. Without giving them a chance to speak, he grabbed their sea-swallowing seashells and said, "Leave the 200th floor in 2 minutes. Otherwise, I'll cripple you." The two of them were shocked. This guy is so powerful. Why don't I know such a master? Is he an unborn disciple of a big clan? However, their sea-swallowing seashells had been robbed. They would be stupid if they continued to fight. The two immediately communicated with the steps into the sea, and their figures gradually faded. The whole process, from beginning to end, took Han Fei less than 2 minutes. Just a few dozen breaths after the two disappeared, two people swam over from not too far away. Then, they saw a disciple of the Grand Void Academy fighting against a basalt conch with a rod. One of them wondered, does he need to make such a big noise to fight a basalt conch? The other person smiled and said, "Look, that disciple of the Grand Void Academy is only an intermediate dangling fisher. He must have had a hard time fighting against the basalt conch." Immediately, this person said to Han Fei via voice transmission, "Brother, do you need help?" Han Fei first became vigilant, then pretended to take a few steps back. "Yes. Don't mention it. But we'll take the reward of a basalt conch." After a few minutes, Han Fei grabbed another set of clothes in one hand and 2 sea-swallowing seashells in the other. He was a little disappointed. These 5 people only got 1 soul crystal. Damn, they're so poor. Chapter 457. A creature like the basalt conch was completely different from Xiao Zhan's 8-armed conch. It didn't have weird tentacles or sticky suckers. However, the shell of the basalt conch was like a big wheel that had been rolled twice, and there were little raised bumps on the wheel. Its fighting style was to control the shell to fight. Therefore, it was also called the revolving conch. Although Han Fei had sent away 2 groups of people, he didn't touch the basalt conch that seemed to be seriously injured and had its shell damaged in several places. On the contrary, while fighting against the Xuanwu conch, he moved to other places. As a result, in the next hour, Han Fei killed 4 waves of people with a basalt conch that was about to be crippled and obtained 7 sea-swallowing seashells. At this moment, Han Fei gently knocked on the basalt conch and then pretended to fly hundreds of meters away. The wheel-like basalt conch rolled towards Han Fei, and Han Fei dodged it. After performing for less than 100 minutes, Han Fei saw a girl in white glancing at him. A woman? Han Fei was a little depressed. Is this girl alone? Should I rob her or not? It doesn't seem right not to rob her, right? Rob. I don't care if she is a man or a woman. Han Fei made up his mind and deliberately dodged over there. When he was less than 500 meters away from the woman, suddenly, a sword light swept across. At the next moment, a thin sword mark appeared on the shell of the basalt conch. But this basalt conch was motionless. Han Fei. Han Fei looked back and saw that the girl in white had already come to dozens of meters away. You led it to me because you wanted me to help you, didn't you? Now you've got the reward, you can go. Han Fei was stunned. Is this little girl so strong? She killed the basalt conch with a super defense with 1 sword strike. Xiao Chang, what's wrong with you, Xiao Chang? Xiao Chang, you can't die. We've been through thick and thin together for 3 days and 3 nights, and I've always treated you as my dearest spiritual beast. Who would have thought that the white-haired man would give me a black-shelled conch today? After that, Han Fei turned around abruptly. You're so vicious. Which ear of yours heard me ask you to help me? You compensate me with a basalt conch, or compensate me with a soul crystal. The girl in white was dumbfounded. She had never seen such a scene before. It was just a summoned creature. You look like your contractual spiritual beast has died. Is there a need to be like this? The girl said coldly, You are blackmailing me. Of course, Han Fei wouldn't admit it. He rose angrily and walked to the girl in white. I'm blackmailing you. You little girl, don't you have any eyesight? I'm just telling you, sometimes, good intentions lead to bad things. I'm teaching you how to be a man. While blabbering, Han Fei said telepathically, Master Hexagon Starfish, are we close enough? Let's go. Just as the girl was caught off guard, 6 beams of purple light suddenly soared into the sky. However, this time, Han Fei's eyes almost popped out. However, the girl turned into a wisp of light cyan smoke with a pop. When the smoke condensed again, the girl had already appeared outside the 6-gate formation. She's so fast. I can't trap her. Han Fei secretly said, do I need you to tell me that? I can see it. The girl frowned slightly and looked at Han Fei. So, you still want to trap me in that purple formation in order to get close to me? If my guess is right, is the starfish on you the legendary hexagon starfish? Han Fei had goosebumps all over his body. In fact, he had long discovered that those who could call out the name, hexagon starfish, were not ordinary people. The girl in front of him could guess the hexagon starfish through the 6-gate formation alone. This woman didn't seem to be simple. Han Fei raised his head and looked around. Really? I don't know. In fact, I was just testing your reaction just now. Little girl, you're alone outside, so you're very vigilant. Well, okay. I think your reaction speed is very good. Keep it up. I still have something to do. I'm leaving, however, before Han Fei took 2 steps, the way ahead was blocked by the girl. The white-clothed girl held a thin sword in one hand. Her posture was elegant, but her face was cold. Do you think I look stupid? You can't get my sea-swallowing seashell, so you want to run away. When did the Grand Void Academy have such a shameless disciple like you? Han Fei sneered. Why should the Grand Void Academy report what we do to others? Go away. Let me tell you, I don't usually hit girls. The girl in white raised one arm. Don't you know me? Han Fei paused. Is this girl very famous? How the hell do I know her? I've never been to the 1,000-star city. Han Fei bit the bullet and said, this is the first time I've walked out of the Grand Void Academy. I've been practicing in secret realms before, so of course I don't know you. Nonsense. You are not a disciple of the Grand Void Academy. Who are you? Han Fei. Seeing that Han Fei seemed to be confused, the girl in white explained, the Grand Void Academy is the most frequented sect in the entire 1,000-star city. They are involved in many aspects such as the security of the 1,000-star city, the academic system, and so on. How is it possible that you have never been out of the Grand Void Academy? Han Fei's face remained unchanged. There are people like me in every academy. Otherwise, what if other sects deliberately suppress me when they find out that I'm a genius? The girl in white hesitated for a long time and finally spat out, you are very shameless. Han Fei's face was black. Hey, hey. You've gone too far by saying that. You can talk and you can fight, but you can't insult me. However, what greeted Han Fei was not the girl in white's rebuttal, but an arc-shaped sword chi that swept past with a wave of her hand. Clang! The embroidery needle flew out, and Han Fei blocked it casually, and the sword chi collapsed. Huh! The girl in white suddenly disappeared. Then, faint smoke rose from all directions around Han Fei. Immediately afterward, sword chi slashed at him from all directions. What the fuck is this? Han Fei had always felt that Xia Xiaochan's teleportation was simply one of the most awesome combat skills in the world. Who knew that an extremely weird woman would pop up here? The embroidery needle in Han Fei's hand danced like a wheel of wind and fire, blocking a large amount of sword chi with clanging sounds. At the same time, his spiritual perception spread out, and in the blink of an eye, it swept every inch within a radius of hundreds of meters. What puzzled Han Fei was that he could clearly feel the girl in white, but the other party's movement speed was too fast. No, there's something wrong with this smoke. Hey! The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up, and he grabbed the whetstone with his left hand and slapped it at the condensed smoke. During this period, although a few sword chi fell on him, Han Fei didn't care. Those sword chi could only leave a faint bloodstain on his body. He cast the divine healing technique and recovered in a few seconds. When the smoke was patted away, the girl in white appeared, pointing her sword at Han Fei. Han Fei smiled and said, "Girl, your strength is not bad, but you can't beat me. However, it's true that I don't run as fast as you. Let's go our separate ways and not disturb each other, okay?" The girl in white pursed her lips. "How did you find out that there was something wrong with the smoke?" Han Fei sneered. "I'm not stupid. Although the smoke is floating, you always land in it. This means that your speed is based on the green smoke. Without the smoke, where can you hide?" The girl in white shouted, "Take my sword." The sword shot out, and there was a thunderous explosion. Han Fei's face changed slightly. What a strong attack. Han Fei could clearly feel that such a sword was not weaker than two swords' fierce sword momentum at all. It could be said that it was 30% stronger. Explode! Han Fei's long rod struck straight at the Flood Dragon's sword momentum with the Wind and Thunder Phantom without any fancy moves. Rumble, with a roar, the girl in white took 3 steps back. There was a strange light in her eyes. An intermediate dangling fissure. Han Fei clicked his tongue. "Little girl, I told you long ago that I am a peerless genius of our Grand Void Academy. You don't understand my realm. Go, go, go. Go play somewhere." Han Fei was just about to leave, but the girl's second sword came. This sword was stronger, more than 50% stronger than the first sword. Shoot! Han Fei was speechless. He tapped his foot and activated the majestic mystic spell, knocking the girl back dozens of steps again. Even blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. "Ha! Did you use a secret method? What's wrong with that?" "I didn't use your family's secret method. Why do you care?" The girl in white's beautiful eyes turned cold. "Take my third sword." Chapter 458. Han Fei didn't know which sect this girl was from. However, her current strength was even better than 2 swords. When she waved the sword, there was really a Flood Dragon Phantom rushing at her. On both sides of the Flood Dragon, there was wind and thunder, flashing electric arcs, and it was nearly 30 meters long. Not until this moment did Han Fei's face change, and he replaced the embroidery needle with the blood-drinking knife. Draw, compared with the wind and thunder Flood Dragon of the girl in white, Han Fei's draw technique was simple and unadorned. However, the shining knife light slashed the wind and thunder Flood Dragon all the way. Hiss! The waves were rolling back, blowing Han Fei's clothes and hair back. In the rolling waves, Han Fei stepped on the water step by step. In his sight, the girl in white waved the sword again. He slashed out with both swords, barely managing to cancel out the draw of the saber. However, at that moment, the 6-gate formation was activated again. This time, the young lady was indeed locked inside. Puff! The girl vomited a mouthful of blood, and a white seahorse appeared behind her. A ray of light sprinkled down, which turned out to be a kind of power comparable to a healing technique. In Han Fei's vision, information was displayed. Name: a green cloud horse, Gong Yuahan's spiritual beast. Introduction: a heterogeneous seahorse bloodline, extremely fast, elegant, and can emit ice sword energy. Its speed is so fast that it can catch up with the green cloud chasing technique and compare to a flood dragon. It cannot be underestimated. Level 35 Equality: a legendary, contains spiritual energy greater than 2,602 points. Food: algae, shrimp, plankton. Combat skill: water moon cloud chasing technique. Contains soul power. 808 Remarks: she has just reached adulthood, so the power of the water moon cloud chasing technique can't be fully exerted. Han Fei was a little surprised. Isn't it said that legendary creatures are extremely rare? How many times has it been now? Besides, Gong Yuahan's spiritual beast turned out to be a seahorse. It was the first time that Han Fei had seen such a big seahorse. Its whole body was white, with a single horn on its head, and it seemed to have wings, but they were not spread out. There were circles of light red fine lines on its body. How fucking beautiful. Gong Yuehan was staring at Han Fei blankly. She had never thought that one day, she would be challenged by someone who was a level higher than her. Moreover, he looked so relaxed and carefree. Gong Yuehan asked, "How much power did your secret technique give you just now?" There was a faint smile on Han Fei's face. In fact, his heart was not calm at all. For times, he had used 80% of his strength just now. Wasn't that equivalent to 4 times his normal strength? However, such a powerful force was blocked by the young girl in front of him with just 2 strikes. Han Fei was almost certain that this girl definitely had stronger life-saving skills. Han Fei couldn't help but feel a sense of urgency. Although Gong Yuehan seemed to have used some kind of secret method in the last move, it was still impossible for Gong Yuehan to defeat him. However, what if Gong Yuehan and Wang Erjian had a secret method like the majestic mystic spell? At that time, he could only flee with his tail between his legs. Otherwise, if someone else used 5 times the strength, he would still be suppressed. Han Fei stepped forward. "I'm here to rob you, not to kill you. Hand over your sea-swallowing seashell and I'll let you go." However, the girl in white did not panic at all. "You are very strong." Even if he didn't use any secret methods, he could be regarded as a genius of the Grand Void Academy. "However, you can forget about my sea-swallowing seashell." Han Fei rolled his eyes. "What do you mean by that? Let me think. What's wrong?" With that said, a spirit forbidden net fell from the sky. When the girls saw the spirit forbidden net, her face suddenly changed. "Where did you get the spirit forbidden net?" The hexagon starfish shouted, hurry up, someone's coming." Hearing this, Han Fei quickly rushed into the 6-gate formation. At this moment, how could he care about her tenderness towards the fairer sex? "Let's grab the sea-swallowing seashells first," Han Fei said fiercely. "Are you going to hand over your sea-swallowing seashell, or should I take it myself?" Gong Yuehan pursed her lips when she heard Han Fei's arrogance. "My sisters are coming. You can't get away. Now that you've robbed me, you won't be able to leave." Han Fei frowned. "You just don't want to give it to me, do you? What a beautiful little girl. Why are you so stingy?" With that, Han Fei stretched out his perverted hand. Gong Yuehan suddenly turned pale. "Hey! What are you doing? You're shameless." Han Fei said indifferently, "Don't worry, I'm not interested in you. I'm only interested in your sea-swallowing seashell." Gong Yuehan still covered her chest with her hands. On the other side, Han Fei had taken off her earrings. Gong Yuehan. Gong Yuehan was stunned. She had never seen such a hooligan since she was a child. In the past, when boys saw her, they would either hide far away or follow her and refuse to go away. But no one had ever treated her like this. In the blink of an eye, Gong Yuehan's 2 earrings were taken off by Han Fei. Then, a jade pendant on her waist was also taken by Han Fei. "Scoundrel, stop!" Han Fei snorted, grabbed Gong Yuehan's little hand, and pulled off the sapphire jade bracelet on her wrist. Then, he looked at Gong Yuehan. "Shall I take your sea-swallowing seashell, or will you give it to me?" Gong Yuehan looked at Han Fei with horror in her eyes. As soon as Han Fei saw people coming from a distance, he quickly reached out and was about to take it himself. Anyway, he thought, Xia Xiaochan isn't here. Besides, his goal was the sea-swallowing seashell, nothing more. I'll give it to you, Gong Yuehan felt that she was about to collapse and tears fell. "You're not allowed to look." Han Fei was speechless. "Cut the crap. Are you trying to stall for time? Why should I look at you?" Gong Yuehan squatted on the ground and slowly took out her sea-swallowing seashell, but Han Fei grabbed it. Before Han Fei got up, he heard dozens of voice transmissions floating over from a distance. Disgusting, let go of Yuan. How dare you? I'm going to kill you today. Grand Void Academy villain, you're dead. Senior sister, what did you do to my senior sister? Han Fei got up and looked around. 7 or 8 people had arrived from all directions. More importantly, one of them was also wearing the clothes of the Grand Void Academy. At this time, someone was pointing a knife at the disciple of the Grand Void Academy. Tell me, what's this guy's name? In the future, I'll make him kneel at the gate of the Jade Fairy Palace and repent for the mistakes he made today. The disciple of the Grand Void Academy was also stunned. However, when he looked at Han Fei, he was stunned. I don't know him. Han Fei's face changed slightly. Oh no, I'm using the face of the Black Ghost. He didn't expect to meet people from the Grand Void Academy so soon. Therefore, he didn't think about it at all. But others didn't think so. Bullshit. How can you not know people from the Grand Void Academy? Han Fei had an idea. Junior brother, I'm innocent. You have to believe that I'm innocent. We were just fighting normally. The disciple of the Grand Void Academy said angrily, who are you calling junior brother? I don't know you. Who is your master? Why didn't I remember a face like yours in the crowd during this experience? Han Fei said cheekily, junior brother, here's the thing. Because I'm too talented, I've been cultivating in the Grand Void Academy for many years, and it's the dean who has taught me personally. It's normal that you don't know me. However, as a disciple of the Grand Void Academy, how can I be wronged like this? The disciple of the Grand Void Academy was also confused. Is this really the case? Is it possible that the dean's direct disciple? However, that's Gong Yuan. Even Gong Yuan, the proud daughter of the Jade Fairy Palace, was defeated by this person. Is this really the hidden peerless talent of our sect? Everyone, this person, Gong Yuan was about to speak, but she heard Han Fei's voice. If you say another word, I'll tear your clothes. Believe it or not. Hearing this, Gong Yuan didn't dare to say another word. Her face turned blue, white, and red with anger. Han Fei immediately adjusted his posture and said seriously, victory and defeat are common in soldiers. Originally, I was going to let her go. However, at this moment, so many of you tried to kill me without saying a word. Well, today I will give you a chance. Who can last more than 10 minutes under my attack? I'll let you go. I won't take your sea-swallowing seashell. 10 minutes. Someone heard this. Who knows if you mean what you say? Han Fei snorted coldly. How can a disciple of the Grand Void Academy go back on his word? You are also the descendants of famous sections. Today, I, Fan Datong of the Grand Void Academy, will defeat you here to spread the prestige of the Grand Void Academy. Outside the array, the disciple of the Grand Void Academy was stunned when he heard this. This demeanor seems to be quite like a peerless talent. But this senior brother's name. Fan Datong, isn't it too unpleasant? However, just when someone was about to say something, he heard Gong Yuan say, don't believe him. He is very strong, and you are no match for him at all. Very strong. At that time, these people were taken aback. If someone else said this, they wouldn't be convinced. However, when it came from Gong Yuan, they had to take it seriously. Han Fei bared his teeth and immediately looked at Gong Yuan. Shut up, this is an above-board challenge. If you talk again, I will hang you up and beat you immediately, believe it or not. Humph. Gong Yuan turned her head. This person is so shameless. She had never seen such a shameless person in her life. Chapter 459. Seeing that these people were all silent, Han Fei couldn't bear it anymore. Han Fei walked out of the six-gate formation and pointed his rod at the crowd. Come on, 5 minutes. Whoever can hold on for 5 minutes, I will let them go immediately. Not only will I let them go, but I will also leave the platform immediately. But whoever loses, leave your sea-swallowing seashell immediately and get out of here. Han Fei stood proudly, thinking to himself, anyway, my name is not Fan Datong. If I lose, I will change my name to Li Hani. Achoo! On the platform, Li Hani involuntarily sneezed. He was very depressed. Recently, he always felt that something was wrong with his body. He was almost killed by Han Fei. Could it be that he was going to fall sick? He was a dangling fisher. If he got sick, wouldn't he be laughed at by others? Seeing Han Fei's domineering and arrogant momentum at this moment, the disciple of the Grand Void Academy didn't dare to refute him at all. The disciple thought to himself, no wonder he is the direct disciple of the Dean. This might, this grandeur, this confidence, even he himself felt his heart surge, unable to calm down. At this moment, he was still thinking, so what if you are from the Jade Fairy Palace? Didn't the recognized genius of the Jade Fairy Palace still lose to the Grand Void Academy? He could even predict that this time, if Han Fei could fight the opponent with this domineering momentum, as soon as he returned to the Thousand-Star City, the Grand Void Academy would be in the limelight and even be faintly as famous as the Heavenly Sword Sect and the Jade Fairy Palace. Seeing that everyone was hesitating, Han Fei immediately said angrily, look at you. How dare you call yourselves disciples of the major sects? If you don't even dare to accept the challenge of 5 minutes, how can you call yourselves strong masters? Immediately, someone blushed. I, Feng Yifei of the Origin Returning Peak, want to challenge Fan Datong of the Grand Void Academy. Han Fei raised his head. Okay. Feng Yifei's weapon turned out to be a fan, his spiritual beast was a blue-tide turtle, and his 2 contractual spiritual beasts were a barbed wind snake and a butterfly star worm. As soon as he waved the fan, flying needles all over the sky shot at him. The butterfly star worm's characteristic was to flash. Therefore, the youth had a certain amount of confidence. He felt that with his ability to flash, he would definitely be able to last for 5 breaths. However, to everyone's shock, Han Fei took out a longbow and shot 3 consecutive arrows with his eyes closed. Han Fei didn't dare to use the 6th arrow of the War Soul Art. He was afraid that he would directly kill the enemy. However, the 5th arrow of the War Soul Art was more than enough for peak-level dangling fishers. The 3 arrows were shot at the same time, which was almost 10,000 points of spiritual energy. Boom boom boom, in the void, the arrows exploded in 3 places. After 3 strikes, the man was lying on the ground, his clothes torn and blood spurting out. Hiss! In 3 seconds, Han Fei defeated the disciple of the Origin Returning Peak. This kind of strength made everyone present feel deep veneration. Suddenly, no one doubted Han Fei's identity anymore. They did not believe that an ordinary person could possess such strength. The disciple of the Grand Void Academy was puzzled at first. Does our dean also teach Bao skills? But then he thought, the dean is such a powerful person, what can't he do? It must be because my senior brother is so excellent that the dean taught him such additional combat skills. In the Spirit Forbidden Net, Gong Yuehan's eyes widened at this moment. That guy clearly used a stick and a knife just now. Now he uses a bow and is so strong. Gong Yuehan was stunned. The others were even more stunned. Damn, is this the hidden weapon of the Grand Void Academy? Only the disciple of the Grand Void Academy had a red face at this moment, and he looked so excited as if he had won the battle. And what about Han Fei? With a calm expression, he put away the blue sea wandering dragon Bao calmly. Sea swallowing seashell. Feng Yifei's face was red, his breath was unstable, and his face was full of embarrassment. He threw out the sea swallowing seashell, and his face turned blue and red before fading into the seawater. Next. Han Fei looked around at the crowd, so arrogant that he almost raised his chin to the sky. Among the crowd, another tall and burly boy stood out. Su Wei of the Mountain Sea Pavilion, armorist, please enlighten me. Han Fei looked up and down. How many major sects had appeared? This is the 7th. Is the thousand-star city really so big? Can it accommodate so many sects? Han Fei asked, Hey. Bro, how old are you this year? Su Wei replied, 16 this year. Han Fei curled his lips. You look like a fucking 26-year-old. You can't find a girlfriend if you look like this at the age of 16. Su Wei. Han Fei used the embroidery needle this time and said to Su Wei, Come on. The seawater suddenly surged, and the armor box was overflowing with multicolored light. Han Fei frowned. Isn't this too inconsistent with your burly body? Only girls like you do these fancy things. As a man, don't you find it weird? Having said that, Han Fei didn't hesitate at all, because one will after another appeared in the multicolored light. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. Is this the Golden Will King? This one seems a bit fierce. Clang, 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 Han Fei's footwork was unpredictable, and he dodged the golden wheels by a hair's breadth. In everyone's eyes, Han Fei's figure was like a shadow, rapidly approaching Su Wei. And Su Wei smiled. Heavenly will dance. In an instant, 100 golden wheels gushed out, covering all directions, madly twisting at Han Fei. Han Fei stepped on a golden wheel, his body floated up, and behind him, the golden wheels surged up one after another. When Han Fei went up hundreds of meters, the whetstone became dozens of meters larger in the air, forcibly resisting those golden wheels. Crack, crack, crack. Han Fei's face changed slightly, and spiritual energy surged on the whetstone, and it exploded in an instant. Water bubbles rose, and a giant rod fell from the sky. Its speed was so fast that Su Wei hurriedly used 100 golden wheels to block it. However, Su Wei underestimated the weight of the embroidery needle. If it were anyone else, it would be a problem if they could even lift the embroidery needle. Therefore, under this blow, Su Wei fell directly and couldn't get up. One of the other two female disciples of the Jade Fairy Palace quickly cast a healing technique on Su Wei, which stabilized his injury. The whole process seemed to be extremely dangerous, but it was not an exaggeration to say that it took Han Fei some time to avoid the golden wheels. 4 seconds later, Su Wei was defeated. After the defeat of Feng Yifei and Su Wei, the others all wanted to retreat. The boy who kept shouting that he would rescue Gong Yuehan didn't say a word at this time. Han Fei pointed at him with the embroidery needle. You tried to kill me just now. Now, I will let you win again. I will stand still and fight with you. Within 5 seconds, if you can move me even a little bit, you win. Han Fei was narrow-minded. He was the one who shouted the most fiercely just now. At this moment, Han Fei would feel guilty if he didn't beat him. The boy's face turned pale. Where the hell did this guy come from? He's too fierce. The people of the Mountain Sea Pavilion are famous for their incomparable strength and strong bodies. But he can't even take a single blow from Han Fei. Can I take it? Moreover, he saw Han Fei suddenly put away the stick and took out a kitchen knife. Yes, he was sure that it was definitely a kitchen knife. How can such a short knife be used to defend? Gong Yuehan rolled her eyes. She thought Fan Datong's strongest weapon was a kitchen knife. However, this time she didn't plan to remind him. Because she didn't like that boy and he often annoyed her. She thought it was good to be taught a lesson by Han Fei. Anyway, as a disciple of the Grand Void Academy, Han Fei wouldn't really kill him. Zhai Shun, go. Senior brother Fan is just defending. Zhai Shun was speechless. Why don't you go? The more arrogant you are, the less I dare to fight you, okay? Fan Datong is a direct disciple of the Dean. What about me? I'm still a long way from that level. However, men were creatures that cared about their dignity. If he flinched in front of his goddess, how could he have the face to chase her in the future? Therefore, Zhai Shun decided that even if he lost, he would lose bravely and with dignity. Because Han Fei proposed that he just needed to move him. Therefore, Di Shun directly gave up on those fancy combat skills. He just stood there and attacked. This was the time to compete in terms of attack power. The spear was like a dragon, densely covered with spiritual energy, and there was a centipede phantom on the body of the spear. The seawater burst several times, and Zhai Shun's spear pierced over. Han Fei suddenly said to the others via voice transmission, "Junior brother, today I'll teach you a lesson. Attack is the best defense. This is what the Dean taught me." Swish, he drew the knife. With a flash of the knife light, the spear momentum was instantly shattered. Zhai Shun was shocked. Seeing that the blade was about to slash him, what the fuck was he talking about, a goddess? He immediately took out an amulet. Clang, the light and shadow on the amulet dimmed, and Zhai Shun's feet slid dozens of meters away on the ground. Puff, gulp, this scene made the surrounding people swallow their saliva. What was the point of fighting? Isn't he too fierce? Only the disciple of the Grand Void Academy hurriedly cupped his hands and said, "Yes, senior brother." Chapter 460. When Han Fei won all 3 battles and was about to continue to challenge, many people retreated. Someone said, "Senior brother Fan, you are the last disciple of the Dean of the Grand Void Academy. Why do you make things difficult for us? Let's just forget about this, okay?" The 2 girls from the Jade Fairy Palace also said, "Senior brother Fan, let's take our senior sister away, okay?" Han Fei clasped his hands behind his back and said mysteriously, "Cultivators must fight. Cowardice is the devil in their hearts. You don't understand, but I do. I can't let you regret it. So, this battle must go on." Everyone, but Han Fei suddenly said, "Oh. By the way, junior brother, you also want to fight, but I won't take your sea-swallowing seashell." Huh? The disciple of the Grand Void Academy's face stiffened and he felt wronged. "Do I have to fight my own people?" Han Fei secretly said to him, "Don't worry. Before I came out, Master told me. This time, I must suppress the other sects, but I can't hurt them. What can I do? It's hard for me too." The disciple responded, "Senior brother, I understand you. Alright, I'll make sure to put on a good show so that they won't find any flaws." Han Fei secretly praised him, "Junior brother, you are very thoughtful. When I return to the sect this time, I will definitely praise you in front of Master." The disciple of the Grand Void Academy was so excited that he almost shed tears of gratitude. On the surface, he had to act as if nothing had happened. However, his eyes were full of gratitude when he looked at Han Fei. Being suppressed by Han Fei, these people didn't know whether to run away or not. If they ran away, they would lose their prestige. If they didn't run away, it was obvious that they couldn't win. However, for the sake of face, these inexperienced disciples all chose to stay. So, 1, 2, 7, after a while, the 7 people left 7 sea-swallowing seashells. Only one junior brother from the Grand Void Academy didn't leave. Han Fei hushed him, then asked the hexagon starfish to put away the 6-gate formation. He put away the spirit forbidden net, and looked at Gong Yuehan with a smile. "Sorry for offending you." "Shameless." Han Fei said seriously, "This is the way of cultivation. How can I be shameless? I, Fan Datong, am a magnanimous person. All I ask for is a clear conscience. You don't understand, but I do. You'll understand in the future." Gong Yuehan blushed and snorted. Her figure gradually faded away. When there were only the 2 of them left, Han Fei secretly breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Junior brother, forgive me for my poor eyesight." "What's your name?" "Senior brother, my name is Ji Wenshuan." Han Fei nodded lightly. "Why are you here alone? Where are the others from the Grand Void Academy?" Ji Wenshuan's eyes dimmed slightly. "Senior brother, our Grand Void Academy ran into the Mountain Sea Pavilion on the 188th floor this time and had a battle. At that time, more than a dozen of us went out. Later, a few more people left on the 197th, 198th, and 199th floors. In the end, only 5 people and I entered the 200th floor. One of them was kicked out by Mo Fian, but I don't know about the others. Hearing this, Han Fei realized that he had sent out 2 of them. Plus Ji Wenxuan in front of him, there should be 2 more. Han Fei nodded slightly. Yes, the 200th floor is only suitable for you to cultivate. If you go to the 201st floor, I'm afraid it will be far more difficult than here. Don't go there rashly. Ji Wenxuan said, Senior brother, why did you come alone? If you had come with us, you would have led a large number of people into the 200th floor. Han Fei sighed. Of course, Master told me to do this. He said that if I led the team, you wouldn't get any experience, so he asked me to come alone. Furthermore, Senior brother didn't come here just for a mere 200th floor. It is said that Chao Tian has probably broken through to the 250th floor at this time. By the way, have you seen Tang Gu? When I was on the 199th floor, I had a fierce battle with him. This person was really strong and consumed a lot of my resources. Otherwise, I wouldn't have robbed others sea-swallowing seashells. Hearing that Han Fei had a fierce battle with Tang Gu, Ji Wenxuan was shocked. Senior brother, did you meet Tang Gu? Were you injured? Han Fei shook his head slightly. Not injured. However, this person is very strong. I tried my best, but I could only fight him to a draw. Alas. What? Senior brother, you fought to a draw with Tang Gu? Han Fei pretended to be surprised. Fortunately, I barely fought to a draw. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come to the 200th floor. By the way, have you met him? Ji Wenxuan was very excited. Just how powerful was his cheap senior brother? He fought to a draw with Tang Gu of the Heavenly Sword Sect, defeated Gong Yuehan of the Jade Fairy Palace, and seemed to want to catch up with Chao Tian. Just this boldness alone was enough to make his mind ripple. Ji Wenxuan nodded. I haven't seen Tang Gu. This person has always been a loner, and others will only avoid him when they meet him. I'm afraid he has already reached the 201st floor, right? Han Fei didn't deny it and asked again, have you met Two Swords? I met him once on the 199th floor, and he seemed to have the little fatty of the Chao family with him. Ji Wenxuan's eyes lit up. Senior brother, have you fought with Two Swords? Han Fei shook his head slightly. No. I didn't have time to fight with him at that time, but this person's sword chi is very fierce. He should be a good opponent. Ji Wenxuan said, Senior brother, you can definitely win. Two Swords can't beat Tang Gu and Gong Yuehan. However, I haven't seen these 2 people. Han Fei complained in his heart, why haven't you seen anyone? Then why do I need you? Han Fei narrowed his eyes slightly. Junior brother Ji, are there many people on the 200th floor now? I need to grab a batch of sea-swallowing seashells. Where do you think I should go? Ji Wenxuan said in surprise, Senior brother, do you still not have enough sea-swallowing seashells? Han Fei shook his head slightly. Once I enter the 201st floor, there will be very few people behind. Although I have some spares, I'm afraid they won't be enough for me to hold on for long. If I want to catch up with Chao Tian, I'm afraid I'll need more resources. Ji Wenxuan took out his sea-swallowing seashells. Han Fei was tempted, but he wasn't sure whether this was a test or not. After all, it seemed a bit outrageous for a senior brother to rob a junior brother of his resources. Han Fei shook his head and said, Junior brother, I don't need your sea-swallowing seashells. Tell me where the others are, and I'll go get them one by one. Ji Wenxuan couldn't help sighing. A master's words were really different. Although this senior brother was only an intermediate dangling fisher, he had witnessed his strength just now. He was so strong that he had no friends. It was only natural that he looked down on his sea-swallowing seashells. Ji Wenxuan said, Senior brother, if you want to grab sea-swallowing seashells, you can't go this way. With that said, Ji Wenxuan pointed to the left side of Han Fei and then said, there are a lot of people gathered there. Sun Mu and Mo Fian seem to be there. There are also a lot of people from the Heavenly Sword sect, the Death Door sect, and the Origin Returning Peak. Han Fei asked, Huh? Why are they all gathered together? Ji Wenxuan shrugged. Most people are making sacrifices and fighting with summoned creatures. As for Sun Mu and the others, they can enter the 201st floor, but I don't know why they stay here. Han Fei nodded slightly. Okay, I see. Then I'll grab it from the other side first. As for Sun Mu and the others, I'll meet them later. Ji Wenxuan was surprised. Senior brother, are you going to fight Sun Mu and the others? Han Fei smiled slightly. It's good to see them. If the Grand Void Academy wants to show off, we can't do without the help of these disciples from the big clans. Senior brother, you're so generous. You flatter me, junior brother. Han Fei thought for a while. Should I send Ji Wenxuan away? However, after thinking about it, he was not sure if there were still people from the Grand Void Academy. At that time, he could also use Ji Wenxuan as a cover, so he gave up the idea of sending him out. Han Fei said, Junior brother Ji, take care of yourself here. I'll go around the 200th floor first. Ji Wenxuan clasped his fists. Senior brother, be careful. Han Fei nodded. Junior brother, try your best. Han Fei walked in the direction with fewer people pointed out by Ji Wenxuan. As for Ji Wenxuan, who cared? When he came out of the steps into the sea, he would probably want to kill him. In fact, it was not Ji Wenxuan who wanted to kill him, but Gong Yuehan and the disciples of the major sects who wanted to kill him. The steps into the sea had been in an uproar. The people of the major sects in the Thousand-Star City had all come out, not one or two, but a large number. When Gong Yuehan appeared on the steps into the sea, many people were stunned. Many people stopped doing business and came to watch. Ordinary people didn't know Gong Yuehan, but the disciples of the major sects did. Wow! Impossible! Someone hurriedly shouted to Gong Yuehan, Senior Sister Gong, did you come out for something? Gong Yuehan was stunned. All the people of the major sects were here. Not a single family was left out, and there were all kinds of clothes. As soon as Gong Yuehan arrived at the shore, a female disciple of the Jade Fairy Palace ran over. Senior sister, we were cheated. Huh? The little girls chattered, that Fan Datong is not the last disciple of the Dean of the Grand Void Academy at all. He is a big villain, known as the Black and White Ghosts in the Level 3 fishery. He has done all kinds of evil and even cooked people. Now he is on the wanted list of the dragon boats. Gong Yuehan. After a moment, Gong Yuehan's face turned red with anger, her jade-like hands clenched into balls, and she said in her heart, Fan Datong, I'll remember you. Chapter 461. Han Fei didn't care what happened in the outside world. No matter what happened, it was none of his business. Let everyone hate Fan Datong. Originally, the reason why he designed the identity of Fan Datong was simply to sneak into the steps into the sea so that he could act at his convenience. Unexpectedly, he met the little fatty of the Chow family halfway, which not only allowed them to enter the steps into the sea safely, but also made a name for themselves. Then, Han Fei thought, anyway, the Black and White Ghosts have been corrupted, so I might as well kill all the people on the first 200 floors of the steps into the sea. At this moment, this second goal was almost achieved. Han Fei thought, in fact, I can already reveal my original identity. After all, no matter how strong the Black and White Ghosts were, their combat power would always be reduced if they couldn't use their real strength. This was particularly evident in Xia Shaochan. Although Xia Shaochan was also a heavenly talent without being a hunter, it was with the help of the majestic mystic spell. Once her energy was exhausted, she would have to return to her original self. At this moment, Han Fei rushed all the way. Oh, no. All the way, he tricked the enemy, lured the enemy deep, and suddenly attacked them from behind. In addition to appearing in groups, Han Fei also needed to use his brain. Whenever he encountered a single person or a group of 2 people, he would directly go up and kill them. Of course, many people ran away, and some people directly squeezed flash stones to escape. However, most of them did not manage to escape. After all, everyone underestimated Han Fei, thinking that no matter how capable an intermediate dangling fisher was, he couldn't be that powerful. Then, the fact told them that even an intermediate dangling fisher could sometimes be very powerful. Until Han Fei met Mu Ling. Yes, Han Fei met Mu Ling. At this moment, Mu Ling was fighting with 3 disciples of the Death Door sect. When Han Fei saw this scene, his first feeling was surprise. According to Mu Ling's performance to Chao Qiu on the previous floor, she should be very powerful. Why did the people of the Death Door sect dare to fight against her? However, what surprised Han Fei even more was that Mu Ling, a spirit gatherer, was not at a disadvantage in the face of the pursuit and attack of a soul warrior, an armorist, and a hunter. This was what shocked Han Fei. Han Fei saw that Mu Ling pushed with one hand and an array was pushed out by her. With a stomp of his foot, a defensive formation blocked several attacks. With a flick of his fingers, a killing array sprang up and directly trapped the armorist in it. Tisk, Tang Gu really knows how to pick a girlfriend. Han Fei attacked without thinking and shouted, 3 people bullying a girl. Is it appropriate? Let me have a taste of your strength. The hunter came out, looked at Han Fei, and couldn't help but sneer. You're from the Grand Void Academy, and an intermediate dangling fisher. How dare you meddle in other people's business? Han Fei smiled faintly. Do you know why hunters are called hunters? Because they were good at sneak attacks. But do you want to fight me head-on? With that, Han Fei rushed out, although the hunter disappeared in the next moment. But Han Fei's senses were not weak now. He didn't plan to kill the enemy in the first place. He just wanted to lure the enemy closer. In just 3 breaths, the 6-gate formation rose. Standing in the 6-gate formation, Han Fei chuckled. Look, you are definitely not a qualified hunter. Bang, 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 he swept the hunter 3 times in a row. On the 3rd strike, the hunter was knocked to the ground by Han Fei. The embroidery needle pressed on him and Han Fei snatched the sea-swallowing seashell. Just when Han Fei was about to hurt this person and then kick him out, a voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Don't touch him. Remove the purple formation. Han Fei. Han Fei didn't care whether he let one person go or not. Anyway, he had already snatched the sea-swallowing seashell. He wanted to see what Mu Ling was going to do. Because once he let Master Hexagon Starfish pull the 6-gate formation, this hunter would definitely run away. Sure enough, when the 6-gate formation was removed, the Soul Warrior suddenly retreated and cooperated with the armorist, breaking the killing array in one fell swoop, and the 3 of them fled. Han Fei wondered, you just let them go? Mu Ling nodded lightly. Let them go. Han Fei asked, why? Mu Ling smiled and said, Tang Gu has to help you. But he can't help you too blatantly. Now, you let these 3 people go. At that time, because I was besieged and you saved me, you can pretend that Tang Gu owes you a favor. In this way, he will have a legitimate excuse to help you. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. This woman, what a fast reaction. What a brilliant scheming ability. The time he took action just now was very short, no more than 10 seconds from beginning to end. In such a short time, she could create a favor because of this simple encounter. From this point alone, Han Fei knew that this woman was definitely not simple. She was a very smart person, giving him the feeling that she was a bit like Yang Ruoyun. However, Han Fei still frowned and said, it's a bit difficult. This favor can probably help Tang Gu restrain the people of the Death Door sect, but the others? No. Mu Ling shook her head slightly and said, don't underestimate this seemingly insignificant favor. Combined with Tang Ji's righteous character, he can at least help you restrain the power of 3 or 4 sect disciples. Even if he doesn't use it this time, as long as you fight against a sect in the future, he may be useful. Han Fei asked in shock, so many? Mu Ling smiled and said, of course, I'm not exaggerating. In fact, there weren't many disciples from the 7 sects in the 1,000-star city who could enter the 200th floor. But as long as they entered, they were usually not too weak. However, compared with Tang Gu, the gap was still too big. So, assuming that there aren't many people from the 7 major sects, the two of us can even pin down more people. Are there only 7 major sects in the 1,000-star city? Mu Ling nodded. Not counting the small ones, there are only 7 big ones. Mu Ling looked at the uniform of the Grand Void Academy on Han Fei and couldn't help but smile. I think you should have met them all. The people of the Grand Void Academy were almost all gone. At this moment, he was the boss of the Grand Void Academy. Tang Gu and Mu Ling represented the Heaven Sword sect, so the people of the Heaven Sword sect wouldn't interfere. The Sea Cloud restaurant was on the upper floor, and it had long been cleaned. Yu Xian, who was leading the team, had already gone out. There were probably not many people left. Gong Yuehan of the Jade Fairy Palace had gone out, so there shouldn't be any top masters left. Besides, Xia Shaochan and Two Swords were still cleaning up those marginal people. In this way, the people of the 7 major sects seemed to have been dealt with at once. Han Fei chuckled. Sister-in-law, why are you here? Didn't Tang Gu come to you? Mu Ling's face suddenly turned red, as if she was shy when Han Fei called her sister-in-law. Seeing this, Han Fei couldn't help but laugh in his heart. It turns out that this girl likes Tang Gu very much. However, Han Fei couldn't see anything wrong with her for the time being. Just because she was smart, he couldn't think that she was scheming. Besides, since Tang Gu was with Mu Ling, he must have his own considerations. He believed that since an upright and righteous guy like Tang Gu took the initiative to choose a girl, this girl must have some merits. Mu Ling recovered quickly, although her face was still a little red. However, Han Fei could see that she seemed to be very happy. Mu Ling exclaimed, him. At this moment, he should be helping you clean up your opponents. Huh? Han Fei's face changed slightly. Didn't I tell him not to act rashly? Mu Ling shook her head slightly and said, since you are his best friend, you should know him. There are many people on the 200th floor, and he won't let you face so many people. So, he will definitely help you clean up some. Then Mu Ling added, don't worry. On the 200th floor, almost all the people are from the big clans and sects in the 1,000-star city. It's common for people to compete for resources. Especially Tang Gu, he has more reason to compete for resources. Because everyone thinks that he can definitely go deeper. However, the deeper the layer, the greater the amount of sacrifice required. It's natural for him to rob others. Hearing Mu Ling's words, Han Fei was immediately relieved, and then he smiled foolishly. Sister-in-law, don't worry. When I see him, I will definitely give him a good lecture for you. There is such a beautiful woman here, but instead of looking for her, he went to fight. That's outrageous. Ha! Mu Ling couldn't help laughing, and then she blushed slightly and said, if you go to the 1,000-star city in the future, I will help you. If you encounter any trouble, even if he doesn't help you, I will. Chapter 462. Mu Ling didn't go with Han Fei. She didn't seem to care about being besieged. Han Fei could see that she was confident. Just now, she faced the siege of 3 people calmly and methodically. Judging from her posture, Mu Ling must have some trump cards. Han Fei didn't force her. After all, he was not familiar with Mu Ling. Whether this woman was capable or not remained to be seen. Thus, the two of them simply chatted for a while before going their separate ways. Han Fei continued to rob. After less than half an hour, Han Fei came to the end of the road. Next, Han Fei randomly chose a direction to kill. After less than half an hour, he met Xia Shaochan. When he saw Xia Shaochan, she was fighting with 3 independent cultivators who were not from major sects gloomily. Because it was not good to expose her identity as a hunter, Xia Shaochan's strength could not be fully released. Therefore, she was also quite depressed at the moment. Seeing that Xia Shaochan didn't use the majestic mystic spell, Han Fei knew that she had probably used up the energy stored in her body. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been fighting for so long against these 3 independent cultivators. Swish, 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 before Han Fei arrived, the spiritual energy arrow had been shot out. In the sea, 3 spiritual lights flashed. Who are you? Ha! From the Grand Void Academy? Brother, why are you attacking us? The 3 people hurriedly retreated. Han Fei's embroidery needle had been thrown out, and the long rod broke through the water and directly hit a person's turtle shield. With a bang, the shield was broken and the person was knocked over. Xia Shaochan took him by surprise and added another strike, immediately knocking down another person. The last person reacted in time, crushed a flash stone, and fled. After collecting the 2 sea-swallowing seashells, Xia Shaochan didn't speak and just snorted angrily. Han Fei waved his hand in front of Xia Shaochan's eyes. What's wrong? Why are you still so angry? Xia Shaochan glared at Han Fei. I've run out of energy. How many spiritual fruits do I need? I've already eaten 20 spiritual fruits and I can't hold on any longer. Han Fei. Master Hexagon, open the door. Let's eat hot pot, eat hot pot. Inside the gate, Xia Shaochan was really hungry and was wolfing down the food. Han Fei was amused. You can eat spiritual fruits if you want. After all, a random sea-swallowing seashell can have dozens or even hundreds of spiritual fruits in it. Do we still need this? Xia Shaochan rolled her eyes at him. Why don't you try eating 20 spiritual fruits in one go? Han Fei paused. He seemed to have forgotten that not everyone could consume too many spirit fruits at once. Although a spiritual fruit was not a big deal for a dangling fisher now, it was not a big deal. However, eating too much over a period of time would cause one's aura to become unstable, and the energy within one's body would clash. Needless to say, Xia Shaochan must have eaten too many spiritual fruits and was feeling unwell. Han Fei smiled. How many did you rob? Xia Shaochan bit off a large piece of sea cucumber and said, we only got 21. Why don't we transform back? I feel that if I use my hunter's ability, I can grab at least 50, maybe even more. Han Fei shook his head. Wait. If he really couldn't hold it in any longer, he would expose himself again. Otherwise, do you want us to be besieged by thousands of people when we go out? We have a disguise technique. What if they have a way to see through us? Besides, it's not easy to build up the reputation of the black and white ghosts. It would be a pity to lose it. Xia Shaochan snorted. Then I don't care. You fight, and I'll watch from the side. The hexagon starfish nodded. I'll watch from the side too. Han Fei raised his head and said, it's none of your business. Stop messing around. As he spoke, a large piece of sea cucumber meat in the cauldron flew into the air and was sucked in by the small black hole. Han Fei took out a large pile of sea-swallowing seashells and said, now the sea-swallowing seashells are almost enough. On the 200th floor, I've cleared 52. Plus your 21, there are 73. Plus some that Tang Gu and 2 swords have cleared. If too many people disappear, I'm afraid we'll be noticed soon. Xia Shaochan muttered, we have been noticed. There are fewer and fewer people now. Several times, I saw a team of 7 or 8 people. If I hadn't run fast, I wouldn't have been able to beat them. Han Fei chuckled. This is only temporary. When we finish the 201st floor, there will be no one behind us. Xia Shaochan pouted. I don't care. I don't want to fight anymore. You can fight if you want. Han Fei shrugged. Indeed, after reaching the 200th floor, it was getting harder and harder to fight. If it were before, he could beat them without the majestic mystic spell. But after reaching the 200th floor, once he encountered a lot of people, he would almost certainly have to use secret methods. Otherwise, even if he could beat them, the probability of them escaping was very high. Han Fei said leisurely, "It seems that it's time to prepare to break through to an advanced dangling fissure. When we finish the 201st floor, let's find a place where there is no one and start cultivating." Xia Xiaochan nodded. "I ate a bunch of fruits. I feel that I can make a breakthrough now." Han Fei wondered, "Have you reached the peak?" "No." "Then let's wait." After Han Fei and Xia Xiaochan came out of the six-gate formation, the two-person team started to farm sea-swallowing seashells again. But at this moment, Xia Xiaochan was no longer Xia Xiaochan. She had changed into a new face. The problem was that Xia Xiaochan didn't use the thousand faces technique at all. At this moment, Xia Xiaochan directly covered her whole body with the metamorphosis water. Immediately afterward, her appearance was changing, and so were her clothes. In the end, Han Fei watched Xia Xiaochan turn into a man. Han Fei's face was black. "That's too much. Can't you turn into a little girl? Why do you have to turn into a man to disgust me?" Xia Xiaochan snorted. "It's not easy to be suspected if I turn into a man." Han Fei turned his head away, trying not to look at her. Fortunately, they were at the bottom of the sea, and it was impossible to distinguish whether it was a man or a woman. Otherwise, tilting his head, Han Fei suddenly saw a strange man in front of him. More importantly, this guy was still pouting and asking for a kiss. "Puff, go away." Xia Xiaochan laughed. "Ha ha ha. I scared you to death." Han Fei, while the two of them were fooling around, they met 7 or 8 people. However, after wandering for nearly an hour, they only met 7 or 8 people, which was obviously abnormal. Either most people had gone to the center of the venue, or most people had been cleaned up. Han Fei wasn't sure if the number of people they had cleaned up was a lot. But in any case, there should be a lot of people in the center of the venue. Soon, Han Fei and Xia Xiaochan met Two Swords and Chao Qiu. When they saw Xia Xiaochan turn into a man, Chao Qiu was almost stunned. He repeatedly asked, "What the fuck is this disguise technique?" In the end, Xia Xiaochan smashed Chao Qiu flying with a rod. Only then did this fellow stop asking. Two Swords looked at Han Fei strangely. "So, you became the last disciple of the Dean of the Grand Void Academy?" Han Fei asked, "Do you think so?" Chao Qiu gave him a thumbs up. "Yes. You can defeat Gong Yuehan, not to mention pretending to be from the Grand Void Academy. Except for the Heavenly Sword Sect and the Jade Fairy Palace, you can pretend to be anyone else." Han Fei rolled his eyes. "Don't talk nonsense. There are many middlemen. What are you going to do?" Xia Xiaochan nodded. "You have to take care of half of the people in the middle. Otherwise, we won't do anything." Two Swords, a cold man, couldn't help but laugh. "Him? Take care of half of the people?" Han Fei emphasized, "If you really can't do it, you can exclude the 7 major sections." "Why?" Chao Qiu, Xia Xiaochan, and Two Swords asked at the same time. Han Fei smiled mysteriously. "You'll know when the time comes." "Now, Chao Qiu, how many can you beat?" Chao Qiu said mysteriously, "If I say I can beat 100, do you believe me?" After he proudly showed off, he found that the 3 of them had gone far away. Even after they left, Han Fei was still muttering, "I hate braggers the most." Chao Qiu said, "Hey. I'm not bragging." Han Fei said without looking back, "Okay. If you're not bragging, then show us." At this time, Yang Diyu shouted in frustration. He didn't want to play with Sun Mu and the others anymore. Wait for Han Fei. God knew when Han Fei would come. He thought that instead of waiting foolishly here, he might as well grab some sea-swallowing seashells and rush all the way down. As for the sea-swallowing seashells in Han Fei's hands, let Sun Mu grab them. He was not familiar with Han Fei, but he was familiar with Sun Mu. When Sun Mu robbed Han Fei, he would rob Sun Mu. At that time, what could the Sun family say? However, after leaving the central area, Yang Diyu was depressed. Where are they? Why haven't I met a few people? Young master, there's no one. Shall we go to the next floor? Yang Diyu glanced at his two subordinates. The next floor. Can the two of you defeat the next floor? Suddenly, Yang Diyu's eyes lit up. Oh! We met people, and 4 of them. We're in luck this time. First update. Asking for votes, end of this chapter. Chapter 463. When Yang Diyu rushed towards Han Fei with his 2 subordinates, Han Fei and the others also rushed towards Yang Diyu and the others. Both sides felt that it was really not easy to meet these people. So, no one wanted to let the other go. After a moment, when Yang Diyu saw Chao Qiu, he immediately said excitedly, "Come on, it's Chao Qiu. This guy is full of treasures. Rob him." Young Master Wang is also here. Yang Diyu said disdainfully, 2 swords can't do it. My big axe can make him cry. As for the one from the Grand Void Academy and the Independent Cultivator, I'll leave them to you too. Yes, young master. When Chao Qiu saw Yang Diyu, he hurriedly said, "Not good, it's crazy Yang. Run." However, before Chao Qiu started to run, Han Fei grabbed his belt. Don't run when you see someone, okay? Yang Diyu is just a fool. Leave him to me. With that, Han Fei asked the hexagon starfish to hide in his clothes. God knew if Yang Diyu had noticed Master Hexagon Starfish at that time. At this critical moment, Han Fei didn't want to screw up on such a small detail. Wang Zitian asked, "Huh? You want to fight Yang Diyu?" Han Fei shrugged. Of course. You guys just need to get rid of his 2 subordinates. Wang Zitian didn't refute. If he didn't have to deal with Yang Diyu, even if he was alone, he could easily take them down. So Wang Zitian said, 100 seconds is enough. Hearing this, neither Han Fei nor Xia Shaochan responded at all. Wang Zitian also frowned in confusion. Isn't this speed fast? Why aren't you surprised? If Wang Zitian knew that Han Fei only used 3 moves against Gong Yuehan, how would he react? At this moment, he saw Yang Diyu rushing over with a whoosh. Although the black crystal axe was gone in his hand, he had replaced it with 2 axes that were not weaker than the black crystal axe at all. On the blades of the axes, there was a cold light. On the other side, Han Fei, carrying the embroidery needle, also sped up, confronting Yang Diyu. Idiot from the Grand Void Academy, get out of here. I heard that Crazy Yang's double axes are invincible. Let me teach you a lesson today. Ha, you're asking for it. Of these 2 people, one was chopping with 2 axes, and the other was thrusting with a long stick. Originally, in Yang Diyu's mind, it was a fight. Of course, close combat was the most exciting and refreshing. He liked the feeling of the axe wreaking havoc. However, when the rod and the axe collided, Yang Diyu felt a huge force coming from the rod. Not bad. Come again if you have some skills. Clang clang, Yang Diyu chopped 3 times consecutively, creating ripples. Han Fei, on the other hand, was different. He was forced back by Yang Diyu's attacks, but he was still shouting, Madman Yang's twin axes are nothing more than this. How could Yang Diyu endure this? Then, he slashed again. Unfortunately, in the process of his slash, 6 rays of purple light soared into the sky. At this time, Han Fei slammed him into the 6-gate formation with all his might. Spirit Forbidden Net. Chao Chucho hurriedly ran over and began to cast a net at the six-gate formation. Young master. Bastard, shameless, in the six-gate formation, Yang Diyu suddenly shouted angrily. The twin axes rotated, blasting the seawater backward, so that the spirit-forbidden net couldn't cover it. Han Fei said angrily, Chao Chiu, what the hell are you doing? Can't you protect me? Chao Chiu. Immediately afterward, Han Fei's face changed slightly, but he saw Yang Diyu's momentum suddenly soar, almost instantly breaking through the realm of a dangling fisher and reaching the realm of a hanging fisher in one fell swoop. Opening the way with one axe, clang, crack, the hexagon starfish was horrified. Not good, he is so strong. The six-gate formation can't stop him. Han Fei also widened his eyes. Is this lunatic so fierce? But as soon as the axe passed, Yang Diyu shouted again, the second axe determines the universe, crack, in Han Fei's astonished gaze, the six-gate formation suddenly broke. This was definitely the first time. This was the first time that the six-gate formation was broken. Was the hexagon starfish not strong? No, absolutely not. This six-gate formation was the hexagon starfish's special skill. Even the six-gate formation was broken. It could be seen how strong Yang Diyu's strength had been at this moment. Chao Chiu shouted, oh my god. You hold on. I'll retreat first. The hexagon starfish shouted, oh no, I'm injured. My six-gate formation has been broken. I want to go home. Han Fei's face darkened. Shut up, all of you. I'll teach him a lesson now. Yang Diyu's face was red at this moment, and he was looking at Han Fei fiercely. Shameless thief from the Grand Void Academy, I didn't want to kill you. However, I don't like you now. Go to hell. 3 axes to decide life and death. When the third axe appeared, both Han Fei and Xia Shaochan froze for a moment. It was a huge crab, with a phantom span of 50 meters, and its 2 big pincers were like 2 battle axes. Name a crazy axe crab, Yang Diyu's spiritual beast, introduction, a rare deep-sea demon crab. When the crazy axe crab grows up, it can be called the Crab King. In its peak state, it can crush mountains and break seas. It has amazing defense and terrifying destructive power. Most of them are deep-sea demons. Level 36 Equality A legendary contains spiritual energy greater than 2,856 points. Food Omnivorous combat skills A crazy axe 7 styles. It contains soul power 888 remarks A mutation. Xia Shaochan said to Han Fei via voice transmission, it looks like the crab that appeared in the big fish tide in the heavenly desolation city. Han Fei's face darkened. Before, he had always wondered why Yang Diyu was able to bully Mo Fian and Sun Mu. It turned out that although this guy was an idiot, his combat power was really amazing. Based on his combat style alone, he was afraid that the disciples of the major sects who had never seen the world would be no match for him at all. Majestic mystic spell. I'll send you to heaven with one blow. Han Fei didn't understand why these people shouted those fancy words when they were fighting. Did you make them up? I can make them up too. The embroidery needle in his hand became dozens of times thicker in the blink of an eye. Han Fei held the embroidery needle with both hands as if holding a large pillar, and smashed it head-on at the big axe that seemed to be splitting the sky and the earth. Rumble, on the other side, Wang Zitian's eyelids twitched. What the hell is this bastard doing? He's so strong. It wasn't obvious when Han Fei was fighting Tang Gu. The power of their battle was very great, setting off billowing ripples. It was really difficult for others to understand how strong they were. The battle between Han Fei and Yang Diyu could be described as a fierce fight between bandits. After a collision, ripples broke out endlessly. Where the two of them were, the seawater was quickly emptied and quickly filled up, causing 2 huge vortexes to spin rapidly. Bam! Yang Diyu was smashed hundreds of meters away, and Han Fei also flew back hundreds of meters. Yang Diyu was bleeding from his eyes, nose, mouth, and both arms drooped. Han Fei's hands were trembling, and the embroidery needle was inserted into the ground, unable to be lifted. At that time, Han Fei cursed in his heart. The majestic mystic spell's fivefold combat power was only a tie with Yang Diyu. Yang Diyu's third chop was dozens of times stronger than the previous two. Yang Diyu's excitement at the beginning also disappeared at this moment. Are you fucking kidding me? Is he a disciple of the Grand Void Academy? If you told me that he was a disciple of the Mountain Sea Pavilion, I could barely believe it. But you told me that he was from the Grand Void Academy. I don't believe it. Yang Diyu immediately shouted angrily, "Who the hell are you? You are definitely not from the Grand Void Academy." Han Fei responded, "I am the direct disciple of the Dean. How can you make up stories about me?" Yang Diyu scoffed. Bullshit. How can the Dean of the Grand Void Academy have a direct disciple? He has never accepted a direct disciple in his life. Little thief, you pretend to be a disciple of the Grand Void Academy. Just wait to be killed by the people of the Grand Void Academy. Han Fei bit the bullet and said, "Bullshit. Who is my master? Does he need to ask you to accept a disciple?" Yang Diyu said, "When I go back this time, I will ask him in person." Han Fei scoffed. "Do you think I am afraid of you?" Yang Diyu shouted, "If I hadn't been in a hurry just now, I would have chopped you with my axe." Han Fei sneered. "If I hadn't been prepared just now, I would have poked you from the 200th floor to the 300th floor with my rod." Yang Diyu scoffed. "Poke me then. Then come closer to me." Everyone, Chao Chiu scoffed. "Come on." Han Fei scoffed. "Shut up. Can't I take a break?" Yang Diyu nodded. "Yes, shut up." Chao Chiu, Han Fei was thinking at the moment, no. He had underestimated Yang Diyu. He was too ferocious. Back then, Yang Ruoyun knocked him to the ground with a finger. His full-strength strike, which was 5 times his combat power, was only evenly matched with his opponent. Han Fei secretly said to the starfish, "Master Hexagon, use the 6-gate formation again." The hexagon starfish struggled with its tentacles. "I can't. I'm hurt." Han Fei was speechless. "It's not a big wound. I'll treat it for you later." Before the hexagon starfish responded, Two Swords said to him, "I'm very fast. Stall Yang Diyu." Hearing this, Han Fei pulled out the embroidery needle again and blasted it at Yang Diyu. Yang Diyu was stunned. He couldn't believe it. He recovered so quickly. "Isn't this fucking fast?" "Young master, run." Yang Diyu frowned. "Me? Run? With so many people watching, you want me to run?" "Young master, don't fight him. We can't hold on any longer." Yang Diyu shook his head. "No, I haven't admitted defeat yet." "Aw." 7 strikes of wild axe. Chapter 464. In an instant, the 2 axes swept across the sky, and the crab claws chopped like divine axes falling from the sky. At the other end, the big stick as thick as a tree trunk was held in Han Fei's arms and waved like a flaming wheel. Bam! Han Fei and Yang Diyu were sent flying backward again. This time, Han Fei vomited a mouthful of blood. Yang Diyu's 2 axes almost fell from his hands. He couldn't hold them anymore, so he simply put them into his body. "Cough, cough," Yang Diyu shouted, "Son of a bitch, who the hell are you? You are definitely not from the Grand Void Academy." Han Fei scoffed. "Go back and ask yourself. I don't want to argue with you." Han Fei's hands were shaking like Parkinson's. However, he didn't care whether his hands were shaking or not at this moment. Fighting was all about momentum. Running out of strength, he jumped up and kicked at Yang Diyu. Seeing that Han Fei was so fierce, the latter thought to himself, "If I admit defeat, I won't be called Crazy Yang in the future." Immediately, he also jumped up and kicked with his feet. However, as soon as their feet touched, the 6-gate formation rose again. Yang Diyu was furious. Shameless, you bastard. Han Fei laughed. All is fair in war, you idiot. Then Han Fei looked at Chao Qiu. What are you waiting for? Throw the spirit forbidden net. Ow, ow, ow. Chao Qiu hurriedly threw out the spirit forbidden net. This time, it covered Yang Diyu tightly and he was stuck in the center of the net. Han Fei kicked Yang Diyu with his foot. What are you talking about? In the end, you will still lose to me. Yang Diyu was furious. You cheated, you shameless bastard. Han Fei sneered. I'm afraid you don't know what the level 3 fishery is. I'll cheat you. Swish. Xia Shaochan landed next to Han Fei, glanced at Yang Diyu, and pinched Han Fei's arm. You are still shaking. Han Fei curled his lips. This is just a hand movement. In fact, I can do it again. Yang Diyu yelled, stop bragging. Do you want to use your feet? Come on, I'll use my feet. Look at my 1,000 stars shadowless feet. After a series of kicks, 2 swords walked over with 2 sea-swallowing seashells in his hands. Yang Diyu's 2 subordinates were still lying on the ground, groaning. They weren't geniuses, so they really couldn't hold out against such geniuses. After all, the prodigies of these great clans were all piled up with resources. Of course, his own efforts were also indispensable. Otherwise, the 1,000-star city would be full of heavenly talents. Han Fei took out Yang Diyu's sea-swallowing seashell and snorted. You lost, you lost. I'll take your sea-swallowing seashell. Be smart and leave the steps into the sea. Yang Diyu was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. This was already the 2nd time. After the 1st time, his sea-swallowing seashell was gone. After all, he didn't see how it disappeared. This time, he was so humiliated that his sea-swallowing seashell was taken away right in front of his face. He really could not tolerate this matter. When Chao Qiu was about to put away the spirit forbidden net, Han Fei suddenly shouted, wait a minute. Yang Diyu suddenly had a bad feeling. What are you doing? Han Fei went up and took off his clothes. Yang Diyu immediately looked frightened and said, what are you doing? We are all men. Let's talk it out. Don't take off my clothes. Hey! Chao Qiu, you little bastard, stop him. Hey, hey, hey. 2 swords. Son of a bitch. As soon as he left the spirit forbidden net, Yang Diyu immediately disappeared. Wang Zitian looked weird and murmured, you have completely offended Yang Diyu this time. Han Fei said disdainfully, I've already offended him. It doesn't matter. Chao Qiu rubbed his hands and said, 2 swords, what do you think will happen if I spread the news that Yang Diyu was stripped in the 1,000-star city? Wang Zitian sneered. He will come to your house with an axe. Even your brother may not be able to resist him. Chao Qiu shivered all over. Then forget it. Oh. Suddenly, Han Fei froze. Fuck, I just wanted to take off his clothes and forgot to take off his axe. Chao Qiu was speechless. Do you still want to pretend to be him? Han Fei chuckled. Yes, you found out. I do have an axe in my sea-swallowing seashell, but it's not as good as his. Wang Zitian shook his head. Don't think about it. Whenever Yang Diyu fights, he always lets his big crab and big turtle show up. You can pretend to be him, but can your spiritual beast pretend to be his spiritual beast? Han Fei froze and immediately threw Yang Diyu's clothes to the ground. Then why should I strip his clothes? Xia Shaochan picked up Yang Diyu's clothes and stuffed them into Han Fei's hands. It's okay. You can't pretend to be him here, but you can still do it outside. Han Fei's eyes lit up. That's right. Chao Qiu, 2 swords. 2 swords had a nagging feeling that something was wrong. Where did Chao Qiu find these 2 weirdos? Their combat power was so amazing. Was Yang Diyu strong enough? If he wasn't strong enough, he wouldn't have been called a lunatic. In the outside world, before Yang Deyu appeared outside, a spiritual weapon battle suit floated on his body. At this moment, his hands were still drooping. Yang Deyu was so angry that his face turned purple, and he said without looking back, "No one is allowed to tell anyone about this. Whoever says it, I'll kill him. Young master, we'll keep our mouths shut." Yang Deyu snorted. "I'm done. No, I don't want to stay in the steps into the sea. But I can't go back with my tail between my legs. That guy just now was definitely not from the Grand Void Academy. Send someone to wait here until he comes out." "Young master, where are you going?" Yang Deyu's face turned cold. "Where else can I go? I'm going to rob a few people first. I don't have any money on me." Han Fei didn't care about Yang Deyu at all. He was just glad that now, he had one less opponent. However, Han Fei had a lot of thoughts at this moment. Yang Deyu was already so strong. Sun Mu and Mo Fian were both at the same level as him. How could they be simple? Yang Deyu alone made Han Fei's hands tremble like Parkinson's. If there were 2 more Yang Deyu, or even 3 more Yang Deyu, he wouldn't be able to resist them at all. Han Fei asked, "Chao Chiu, tell me, what's your solution? If Sun Mu, Mo Fian, and the other children of the big clans in the Thousand-Star City are so strong, let's not go to the central area. Let's just go to the next floor." Wang Zitian also frowned and said, "Chao Chiu, this is not a joke. It's almost impossible for you to kill them. You can't just drive the ghost speed divine boat and hit them, can you?" Chao Chiu said solemnly, "I have a solution. Trust me." Xia Shaochan said, Tell me your solution. Otherwise, who will believe you when you are so afraid of death?" Han Fei nodded. "Tell me the truth." Now, Han Fei felt that he had actually saved enough sea-swallowing seashells. Although he also wanted to get revenge on Sun Mu, if 8 or 10 people like Yang Deyu popped up, he wouldn't dare to hit them with his head, right? Seeing the 3 people's burning eyes, Chao Chiu finally compromised. Chao Chiu took out a few small bottles. Xia Shaochan grabbed them. "Just a few small bottles." Seeing that Xia Shaochan was about to open them, Chao Chiu hurriedly said, No. Xia Shaochan paused. "What's in them? Why can't I open them?" Chao Chiu hesitated for a long time and said, "Inside are the ultimate weapons." Han Fei and the others. Chao Chiu explained, "This is the poison of poisons I made from nearly 100 dragon boats in the entire level 3 fishery with thousands of spiritual herbs. It's called the Poison King." Xia Xiaochan's hand trembled and she threw the bottle away. Han Fei grabbed the bottle and asked with bright eyes, "How do I use it?" Xia Shaochan. Wang Zitian. Xia Shaochan and Wang Zitian were speechless. "Are you really going to use it?" Seeing that Han Fei seemed to be quite interested, Chao Chiu immediately said excitedly, "Well, let me tell you, it's awesome. Its value is even higher than that of the Ghost Speed Divine Boat. Let me tell you, just a single drop is enough to cause all living beings within a radius of 1,000 meters to vomit and have diarrhea for 7 days without stopping." Han Fei was so shocked that he almost threw the bottle in his hand away. Xia Shaochan and Wang Zitian immediately took a few steps back, especially Xia Shaochan. "Don't open it. Don't open it." Gulp. Han Fei swallowed. "That's really poisonous. Can you describe to what extent they will vomit and have diarrhea?" Chao Chiu said proudly, "I found a crab nest and tried it. In less than an hour, all the crab's shells softened. One day later, the shells were empty. Han Fei swallowed again. "How much of this do you have?" "I have a tank." Chapter 465. Han Fei once felt that he had been shameless enough. He firmly believed that what he did was forced by the level 3 fishery. Therefore, when Han Fei killed and robbed, he told himself that this was the most basic law of survival. Until Chao Qiu's performance at this moment made him doubt this law of survival, and his understanding of shamelessness and despicableness rose to a new height. At this moment, Han Fei stared at Chao Qiu with bright eyes. "Give me the vat." Chao Qiu, Xia Shaochan quickly pulled Han Fei. "Are you crazy? Why do you want so many of these things?" Han Fei responded seriously, "I don't know why, but I had a hunch just now. We wanted to enter the steps into the sea to find treasures, and I think this is the best." Xia Shaochan's eyes widened. "Do you think this is a treasure?" Han Fei said calmly, "Isn't this a treasure?" Xia Shaochan looked at him leisurely. "I'm afraid you have some misunderstanding about the word treasure." Chao Qiu was also surprised. "Why do you want so many of them?" Han Fei raised his head. "Do you think you have the ability to drop this thing on people without anyone knowing?" "That depends on your ability." Chao Qiu asked, "Can I?" "No, you can't give me half of it. I'll help you kill those bastards." Chao Qiu took 2 steps back. He had a feeling that Han Fei was going to rob him of his power. However, Chao Qiu looked a little excited. Before, he felt that this invention of his seemed to be not very elegant. However, seeing that Han Fei seemed to like it very much, he couldn't help but feel a little proud. Chao Qiu said, "I'll give you half of that, no more. I have other uses." Han Fei chuckled. "Okay, then give me half of that first." After a moment, Han Fei said in high spirits, "Let's go and meet Sun Mu and the others. This son of a bitch is too much. This time, I'm going to kill him." Wang Zitian said, "Before you use the poison, you'd better tell me first." "I'll go to the next floor." Xia Shaochan also agreed. "Yes, when you use it, tell me the profit. I'll run away in time." Chao Qiu said, "Don't worry, I have an antidote that can reduce the pain by 90%. It's not about the antidote. At that time, the water will be filled with filthy and muddy things. You can keep it to yourself." Chao Qiu was taken aback and said in surprise, "Ah, I forgot about this. Fan Datong, when you use it, tell me first. I'll go down too." Han Fei was speechless. "Didn't you want to go with me just now?" However, Han Fei didn't care. He could control water. So what if it was turbid? With his water control technique, no matter what kind of filthy excrement it was, it wouldn't be able to contaminate him at all. However, Han Fei frowned and asked, "Why reduce the pain by 90%? Chao Qiu explained, "It's mainly because I forgot the order of some of the materials in it when I was concocting it. As a result, after I concoct the antidote, it can only be more than 90% immune." Han Fei bared his teeth. This was too fucking much. He could tolerate other people vomiting and having diarrhea. If he were to be infected by it, the experience would not be as good. Han Fei pondered for a moment. "Let's go." The central area of the 200th floor was actually about 30 miles from the center point. About 200 people had gathered here, and they were still practicing here. That's right, these people weren't fighting or sparring with each other. Instead, they were fighting various summoned creatures. When they were still 50 miles away from the central area, Han Fei and the others had already felt wave after wave of shocks and ripples, rippling over. Han Fei could confirm that there were probably no less than 50 people fighting at the same time. When the 4 of them came to the central area, they saw 3 or 4 people fighting within a kilometer. Wang Zitian frowned slightly. "There are so many people. How are you going to poison them?" Chao Qiu wondered. "It doesn't matter if it's the others. We just need to poison Sun Mu, Mo Fian, Li Baizhou, Li Hai, and Yi Baiyu. It's a pity that Chen Aochen has left. Otherwise, I would definitely take him with me." Wang Zitian continued, "Yi Baiyu is not on the 200th floor. If I'm not mistaken, he should be on the lower floors. As for which floor he is on, I don't know." Chao Qiuqiu and Wang Zitian were discussing which people to deal with. Han Fei said, "Wait a minute, there are so many people here. It's impossible not to rob them. If we want to rob them, let's do something big. Killing all these people is the right way." Chao Qiu looked a little hesitant. "That's not a good idea, is it?" Chao Qiu looked at those who were fighting and those who knew nothing about it, and couldn't help but panic a little. What if these people knew about it in the future? Han Fei didn't care and went straight to the central area with the most poisonous poison and antidote. The arrival of the four of them inevitably attracted the attention of these people. However, unlike before, no one would run away here. Most people would subconsciously stay away from two swords when they saw him. When they saw Chao Qiuqiu, they could still make fun of him. "Chao Qiuqiu, are you looking for a beating?" "Chao Qiuqiu, your sister is not here. She may have gone to the next floor." "Chao Qiuqiu, what's wrong with you today? Li Hai and Li Baizhou are inside. How dare you go?" Chao Qiu ignored these people and just looked at them with pity. "All of you are a little too arrogant. Just you wait to cry in a moment." Han Fei wondered, do these people really get along so well with each other? Don't they rob each other? Wang Zitian replied, "Independent cultivators will be robbed when they come here. As long as the disciples of the 7 major sects and the big clans don't go out of the central area, no one will rob them, because there will always be someone to help them." Han Fei smiled. This was probably one of the benefits of those major sects and the big clans. Just by virtue of their identity, they could do things that countless people couldn't do. Suddenly, Han Fei saw 2 disciples of the Grand Void Academy swimming towards him. Han Fei's face changed slightly and he said to the others via voice transmission, "Wait a minute, I'll deal with them." When they got closer, Han Fei found that it turned out to be Ji Wenxuan and another junior brother. "Senior brother, you're here." "Junior brother, I'm here." Han Fei raised his head slightly, put one hand behind his back, and looked at the other person. "Junior brother, how should I address you?" The other disciple of the Grand Void Academy was a little puzzled. After hearing Ji Wenxuan say that the dean had a very powerful last disciple, he was very suspicious. Why was it that no one in the academy had ever heard of such an awesome senior brother? However, because he heard from Ji Wenxuan that he had seen this senior brother severely defeat the heavenly talents of the Jade Fairy Palace and other sects, he couldn't help but suppress this suspicion. After all, if he could defeat someone like Gong Yuehan, he might really be a last disciple. "Tian Yishan greets you, senior brother." Han Fei smiled and said, "Junior brother Tian, nice to meet you." Then Han Fei looked at Ji Wenxuan. "Why are you here? Is there anyone else in our Grand Void Academy?" Ji Wenxuan shook his head. "No, when I met Yishan, another disciple was robbed. The robber was Tang Gu, and Yishan escaped with the help of a flash stone." Han Fei frowned and looked at Ji Wenxuan. "Did you meet Tang Gu?" Tian Yishan replied, "Yes, this person is too fierce. He swung his halberd all the way, and wherever he went, all the people caught by him were robbed. I'm afraid this person wants to break into the depths of the steps into the sea this time." Han Fei asked, "Where is he now?" Tian Yishan replied, "He has come from the other side. This person is so fierce that he clearly wants to rob a sea-swallowing seashell from the other side. Many people have gone to watch." Han Fei's eyelids twitched. "Let's go and have a look." Han Fei was speechless at Tang Ji's temper. "Take it easy, I've come in with a different identity. You didn't even disguise yourself and directly came in with a halberd. What if you were beaten by the crowd?" Suddenly, Chao Qiu said, "Good timing. There must be a lot of people watching. Let's hurry up and release the poison in crowded places." Of course, Han Fei also knew that this was a good opportunity. So they immediately sped up and rushed over. On the way, Tian Yishan also asked, "Senior brother, where did you cultivate before? Why have we never seen you before?" Han Fei answered casually, "The unknown place. Besides, I'm not the only one, but most of them are dead. Wow, Tianishan was stunned. Is the unknown place a place that only dangling fishers can go? Ji Wenxuan was also shocked. He even imagined the scene of a group of heavenly talents fighting until only one of them was left. Han Fei didn't want Tianishan to ask again, so he said, something big will happen here later. You two, either go to the 201st floor or the steps into the sea. Anyway, you can't stay on the 200th floor today. Ji Wenxuan and Tianishan looked at Han Fei. Han Fei smiled and said, you'll know in the future. Han Fei and the others were far away and felt the seawater hitting their bodies wave after wave. In the seawater, the sound of weapons colliding never stopped. When Han Fei arrived, he found that Tang Gu was fighting with two figures, one black and one white. Han Fei couldn't help but look at Xia Shaochan. Who the fuck is this? Chao Qiu explained, these are Li Hai and Li Baizhou, the twin brothers of the Li family. It is said that they can communicate telepathically. Their unparalleled combat techniques can make them among the top 10 in the Heavenly Sword sect. Han Fei knew that they were Li Hai and Li Baizhou. Their identities were all written on their clothes. Han Fei was not bragging, but if they walked into the steps into the sea with their identities, they might be mistaken for the black and white ghosts. At this time, on the battlefield, Tang Ji's halberd was slashing so hard that only dazzling knife light and rolling waves could be seen in the seawater, and no one could see his figure at all. Li Hai and Li Baizhou were particularly fast. The two of them were not hunters, but their speed was comparable to that of top hunters. Xia Shaochan said, it's a bit like the shadow shrimps pursuing shadow. Their attack speed is too fast. If I don't teleport, I'm afraid I won't be able to win. Han Fei nodded slightly. It was indeed powerful. There was no doubt about that. These famous children of the big clans should not be easy to deal with. He didn't know how many people could withstand the crazy Yang Deyu's pair of big axes. Suddenly, Tang Ji's halberd was thrust into the ground. With his body as the center, the area within a kilometer exploded. Li Hai and Li Baizhou were shocked back hundreds of meters by the power of the halberd. Li Hai said, Tang Gu, you are not weak in a one-on-one fight, but 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. Today, you robbed our people. We can't let you go. Li Baizhou said sarcastically, I've heard that Tang Ji's strength is comparable to Chao Tian's and his combat skills are comparable to Chen Aochen's. Why don't I see either of them? Li Hai said solemnly, brother, you are wrong. He is indeed very strong. Li Baizhou said coldly, but he didn't show his combat skills. If that's all he has, he won't be able to beat us. While everyone was watching the battle, suddenly, a figure in red suddenly appeared beside Han Fei and the others. Han Fei took a closer look and found that it was none other than Mo Fian. Mo Fian twisted her body and landed in front of Chao Qiu, with a bright smile on her face. Hey, sister, I was wondering who you were. It turns out to be our little Qiu Qiu. Little Qiu Qiu, your sister is not here, so are you here for me? Chao Qiu jumped behind 2 swords and Han Fei as if fleeing. I'm not here for you. I'm determined. Mo Fian, you can't tempt me. Ha ha ha, why can't I tempt you? Is it because I'm not beautiful enough? Chao Qiu bared his teeth. You are far from it. You are not as good-looking as my sister. I can't like you. Huh? Mo Fian's face instantly changed and she said coldly, say it again. I'm not as good-looking as your sister. I'll give you another chance to organize your words. Chao Qiu shrank his head. No. Just when Mo Fian's aura was rising, a sharp sword intent broke out from Wang Zitian's body. Wang Zitian shouted, Mo Fian, if you want to fight, I'm happy to accompany you. Mo Fian's aura suddenly dissipated a little. Hey, if you didn't release your sword intent, I almost didn't recognize you. Isn't this Wang Shaoer who only knows how to cry? Do you think you can protect little Qiu Qiu with your 2 swords? The two swords in Wang Zitian's hands were already in his hands and his eyes were fierce. Say it again. Wang Shower, Wang Shower, Wang Shower, come on. Wang Zitian burst out in anger. In an instant, Chao Qiu was sent flying. Wang Zitian was surrounded by hundreds of swords and the sword chi was like a tide. The others who were watching the fun all cast their eyes over. Sun Mu also took a step forward. He took a deep look at Wang Zitian, then glanced at Chao Qiu and frowned. Xia Xiaochan faintly burst out of her fighting intent and said to him via voice transmission, "Is this the Sun Mu who has chased you repeatedly?" Han Fei replied, "No hurry. It's boring to fight with this kind of person. Even if you want to fight, it's not now." Because of Xia Xiaochan's fighting intent, Sun Mu took a special look at Han Fei and Xia Xiaochan. Huh? Sun Mu's eyes fell on Han Fei and he stared at him for a long time. Han Fei didn't avoid it and also looked at Sun Mu coldly without a smile on his face. As if attracted by their gazes, Mo Fian glanced at Han Fei and asked Sun Mu, "Do you know him?" Sun Mu moved his eyes away. "I don't know him. However, these two people were brought here by Chao Qiu. Chao Qiu has been trying to kill us for a long time. Be careful." Mo Fian giggled. Little Chao Qiu is just a glib talker. If he really wants to kill us, why doesn't he dare to fight us now? Sun Mu snorted. Don't underestimate him. Chao Qiu's aptitude is the best among all of us. Chao Qiu was saying to Han Fei via voice transmission, "Hurry up and release the poison. I'm going to poison these two bastards." "No, I'm going to poison all the bastards here." Han Fei glanced at Chao Qiu. "You guys go to the next floor. I'll stay here." Xia Xiaochan shook her head. "I'll go with you. Let little fatty go first." Chao Qiu shook his head. "No, I want to see them vomit and have diarrhea." Of course, Han Fei ignored Chao Qiu who was in a rage. Just when Tang Gu, Li Hai and Li Baizhou were about to fight, suddenly, an unparalleled sword chi shot straight at Han Fei. On the battlefield, Tang Ji's eyelids suddenly twitched. Has Han Fei's identity been exposed? Han Fei was also very surprised. This stab came from Sun Mu. It came without any warning and caught him off guard. Han Fei pulled out the knife with one hand, and the soaring knife chi instantly shattered the sword chi, and then continued to chop at Sun Mu. Swish, swish, swish. Sun Mu used 3 sword strikes in a row, and the billowing spiritual energy exploded 3 times before he finally shattered the knife chi. In an instant, the surrounding crowd dispersed, leaving Chao Qiu and Han Fei alone. Among them, Ji Wenxuan and Tianishan's expressions changed drastically. They didn't know why Sun Mu suddenly attacked this senior brother. And what shocked Tianishan the most was that this senior brother of his was simply too powerful. Sun Mu had to use 4 sword strikes to barely defend against this casual slash. Not far away, Tang Ji's eyes also flashed. When he fought with Han Fei before, he didn't see Han Fei use a knife. Just now, that fleeting saber seemed to be even more powerful than his staff technique. Li Hai and Li Baizhou also looked at him and exclaimed at the same time, "How is it possible that he is from the Grand Void Academy?" Han Fei took a step out first and looked at Sun Mu arrogantly. "Why did you attack me?" Han Fei secretly swallowed. He just wanted to release a few drops of poison. But before he had time to release it, Sun Mu had already slashed at him with his sword. Han Fei frowned slightly. Did he notice that I released the poison? But it shouldn't be. How can a drop of water in the sea be detected? Seeing Sun Mu's decisive attack, Mo Fian couldn't help but look at Han Fei up and down, and then she also frowned slightly. "Who are you?" Sun Mu took a step forward, and the 5 or 6 subordinates behind him also seemed to be ready to take action. Han Fei grinned. "I am Fan Datong from the Grand Void Academy." "Nonsense, how can you be from the Grand Void Academy?" "Hey, don't pretend to be me." "Bullshit. My Mountain Sea Pavilion is not far from your Grand Void Academy. Why didn't I know that there was such a strong master in the Grand Void Academy? Han Fei grinned. My master is the Dean of the Grand Void Academy. I, Fan Datong, have been silent for 3 years. Today, I will sweep the 6 academies and dominate the 7 major sects of the Thousand-Star City. You can't question me until you are qualified to stand in front of me. With that, Han Fei took 2 steps forward and looked at Sun Mu. So, why did you attack me? Han Fei's last sentence was quite domineering. The whole audience was silent. Chao Qiu even wondered if this guy was really the last disciple of the Dean of the Grand Void Academy. Damn, he was so good at acting. Sun Mu frowned even more and secretly said to Mo Fian via voice transmission, I always feel that I have seen him somewhere. Mo Fian also put away her charming smile. He seems a little familiar. Is he really a peerless talent hidden by the Grand Void Academy? But this person is so domineering. I like him so much. Sun Mu rolled his eyes at Mo Fian. He still had some doubts in his heart. Why did such a strong person suddenly appear in the Grand Void Academy? So Sun Mu raised his sword. I don't like you, so I challenge you. When Sun Mu said this, many people were stunned, including Li Hai and Li Baizhou who were fighting with Tang Gu. The two of them put away their swords and looked at Han Fei curiously. Wang Zitian said to him via voice transmission, Sun Mu is a cautious person. Except for a few times, he has never taken the initiative to challenge others. Do you know him from before? Han Fei looked solemn, but he was very puzzled. Was it because the Thousand Faces technique was not real enough? Why did this guy challenge him alone in the crowd? However, in the face of challenges, Han Fei was not afraid at all. If it weren't for the support of the majestic mystic spell, Han Fei wouldn't have come to the 200th floor to fight with Chao Qiu. But now that he had the majestic mystic spell, he didn't care about Sun Mu and the others anymore. It seemed that the plan to secretly release the poison had failed. Han Fei smiled faintly. You like to fight? Many disciples of the major sects around were surprised. Others might not know, but they all knew it very well. Although they were all in the Thousand-Star City and might even be in the same sect, they still knew the difference in strength between people. Ordinary disciples of the major sects might be outstanding, but in terms of resources, experience, cultivation methods, and combat skills, they were still far behind those disciples of the major sections. For some things, they didn't stand on the same starting line, so they could only rely on their talent. For example, Tang Gu was an exception. He was an existence that defeated all the heavenly talents with his strong talent. Now, this unknown Fan Datong was obviously not a disciple of a big clan, which meant that he was also a person who rose to fame with his talent. In Han Fei's mind, Tang Ji's voice transmission sounded, Sun Mu is not weak and is good at sword arrays. Are you sure you can defeat him? Han Fei responded, don't worry. Ask Mu Ling to seal the surrounding seawater. I'm going to release poison later. Don't be contaminated by it. Okay. Tang Gu was slightly surprised when he heard that Han Fei was going to release poison, but he didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Anyway, he didn't have any feelings for these people present. Besides, Han Fei knew his limits and wouldn't kill anyone, so Tang Gu didn't care. Han Fei tapped his feet and swam to a place dozens of meters away from Sun Mu. I've long heard that your sword array is unparalleled. Today, I will fight you alone. Swish, 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 under everyone's gazes, Han Fei's momentum was rising at an extremely fast speed. To everyone's surprise, only Han Fei's momentum was rising and his realm didn't change at all. He was still an intermediate dangling fisher. And Sun Mu didn't dare to be careless. Judging from Han Fei's attack just now, he already knew that he definitely couldn't defeat him with ordinary strength. Therefore, Sun Mu spread his arms and long swords jumped out from his chest, back, arms, and forehead one after another. Each of them was a high-quality spiritual weapon. Why did they give him high-quality spiritual weapons? It was not because they didn't have ultra-quality spiritual weapons, but because if they were given ultra-quality spiritual weapons to train in the level 3 fishery, they wouldn't be able to gain any experience at all. Even if they were given ultra-quality spiritual weapons, they would only be given a few. There were very few people like Chao Qiu who had ultra-quality spiritual weapons all over his body. Just like at this moment, right in front of Sun Mu, a red long sword was standing upright and rotating. It was an ultra-quality spiritual weapon. Han Fei couldn't help but be shocked. When he saw Sun Mu before, this guy only used a high-quality spiritual weapon. He didn't expect that this guy had so many spiritual weapons. Including the red long sword, there were a total of 108 swords. Someone exclaimed, "Oh my god, it's the Sun family's unique skill, the Immortals Slaying Formation." Retreat. Someone asked while retreating, "How strong is this Fan Datong?" He forced Sun Mu to use the Immortals Slaying Formation as soon as he entered the arena. Is he fucking crazy? Someone responded, "I don't know whether he's crazy or not. I just know that I should stay away from him as soon as possible. Once the Immortals Slaying Formation approaches, crush the Flash Stone as soon as possible and run away." Seeing that the crowd was scattering, Han Fei was speechless. "I just want to poison him. Do you think it's easy for me? How can I poison him now that the crowd has scattered?" Han Fei said to Xia Xiaochan via voice transmission, "Xia Xiaochan, go directly to the 201st floor." Xia Xiaochan refused. "No, I won't go." Seeing Xia Xiaochan's determined look, Han Fei asked, "Then take the antidote first and then block it with the metamorphosis water. Don't let the seawater touch you at all." Xia Xiaochan nodded. "Okay, no problem." Chao Qiu also said to her via voice transmission, "Is he going to release the poison? Let's stay away." Chao Qiu called 2 swords and Xia Xiaochan and ran directly to Mu Ling. Mu Ling seemed to know why they were here. She gently stepped on the ground and a layer of defense array appeared. With another step, a water dungeon array appeared. With another stomp, a water shield appeared and surrounded the few of them. In the eyes of others, this scene was not a problem at all. After all, Sun Mu had even taken out the Immortals Slaying Formation, which showed how dangerous this battle was. It was only natural for him to do some protective work. Mo Fian also stayed far away from Sun Mu at this moment. At the same time, her eyes lit up. She had a strong curiosity about this Fan Datong. Sun Mu immediately activated the Immortals Slaying Formation, which had never happened before. Li Hai muttered, "That guy seems to be quite powerful." Li Baizhou nodded. "Yes, I still don't believe that there is such a person in the Grand Void Academy." Li Hai added, "I don't believe it either, but those 2 disciples of the Grand Void Academy seem to know each other." Li Baizhou suggested, "Then let's kill those 2 disciples of the Grand Void Academy first and interrogate them." Li Hai suggested, "Maybe we can take advantage of the situation." Li Baizhou nodded. "Good idea." As soon as Sun Mu activated the Immortals Slaying Formation, Han Fei found that there was no one around. Everybody retreated 1,000 meters away, including Tang Gu, without exception. However, before Tang Gu left, he said to Han Fei via voice transmission, "Don't worry. If you can't beat them, I'll come to help you." Han Fei responded, "No, I'll show you my strength in the past 2 years." Han Fei didn't expect that things would turn out like this because of his stare at Sun Mu. However, this was good. At least the 7 major sects wouldn't trouble him for the time being. Besides, he would go to the 1,000-star city anyway. It was not inappropriate to get to know these disciples of the big clans in advance. Swish! 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 As Sun Mu pointed his finger, except for the little red sword floating in front of him, the other 107 swords rose into the air at the same time. Round after round, he made a total of 3 big circles. At this moment, Han Fei had to praise Sun Mu. His style was really fucking handsome. However, at this moment, he couldn't care less about whether his style was handsome or not. His killing intent was soaring. Clatter. The sword formation above his head flashed away in an instant. The spiritual swords were not aimed at Han Fei at all, but covered a radius of 500 meters. The landing points of the swords seemed to be very particular. First, 8 swords landed in 8 directions, followed by many long swords. Han Fei only felt that in this sword array, there was already sword chi everywhere without the need of swords at all. Seeing a few strands of sword chi floating towards him, Han Fei didn't resist but still lowered his hands and let the sword chi approach him. Chilla, Han Fei was swept by 5 or 6 strands of sword chi and remained motionless. On the periphery, many people looked surprised. Wow, this guy didn't even block them. His physique is so strong. Is this guy as strong as Chao Tian? The crowd was discussing, and Tang Ji's aura fluctuated a little. Mu Ling pulled him slightly. Don't worry. In the Immortal's slaying formation, any strand of sword chi can seriously injure an intermediate dangling fissure. He can feel it. Since he dares to resist it, it shows that his physique is strong. Tang Gu nodded. I know. I'm not afraid. I'm excited. I didn't expect that one day he would be so strong. I once thought that he would. Seeing that Tang Gu stopped halfway, Mu Ling couldn't help asking, well, what will happen? Tang Gu shook his head slightly and didn't answer. He once thought that Han Fei might stop at the realm of a fissure in this life. But now, he seemed to see the rise of a peerless heavenly talent. How could he not be excited? Chao Qiu sighed. Xia Xiaoan, what do you think is his most powerful feature? His physique. Xia Xiaochan tilted her head and said, no, both are very strong. Chao Qiu was speechless. You're just a little fangirl. I didn't ask you. Han Fei looked down. The sword chi tore his clothes but failed to cut his skin. Seeing this scene, Han Fei couldn't help but smile. Come on, let's continue. As soon as Han Fei's voice fell, within a radius of 500 meters, there were only a few strands of sword chi wandering, but in the blink of an eye, there were thousands of them, and the number was still increasing. Someone exclaimed, it's coming. It's coming. The Immortal's slaying sword chi is coming out. Han Fei was also speechless at this moment. I just said it. Why are there so many of them? However, Han Fei still didn't intend to make a move. He grabbed the handle of the blood-drinking knife with one hand, while injecting spiritual energy into it. Chilla, clang, 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 chilla, Han Fei's clothes were torn, and his head was swept by the sword chi. However, in the eyes of everyone outside, Han Fei still didn't move. This was simply suicidal. They couldn't even imagine it. Even if each sword chi could only make a small cut on his body, with so many sword chi, he would bleed to death. However, when Han Fei raised his hand and looked at it, white marks appeared on his skin. Suddenly, Han Fei grinned. Is there anything else? If not, I'm going to make a move. Chapter 466. Han Fei also realized that this Immortal's slaying formation should be very terrifying. However, he knew that his physique had also become 5 times stronger when the majestic mystic spell was still active. Therefore, unless these people used some particularly powerful combat skills, they definitely couldn't hurt him. When 4 red sword lights appeared in the Immortal's slaying formation, Han Fei knew that the highlight was coming. Puff! The speed of the red sword chi was even faster than Xia Xiaochan's 1000-strike technique. Han Fei's face changed, and he subconsciously tried to dodge, but failed to do so. 2 streaks of red sword chi almost instantly landed on his body. Han Fei raised his arm, only to find that his forearm had been pierced and his thigh had been cut. Hiss! Swish! In everyone's expectation, Han Fei drew his knife. In fact, after the Immortal's slaying sword chi appeared, many people had already recognized Han Fei's strength. That thing wasn't something an ordinary person could block. If it were an ordinary person, he wouldn't even be able to resist it for a second with a spiritual energy protective cover. Therefore, when the red sword chi appeared, someone said, "The immortal shows the way is out. Fan Datong is going to attack." When the blood-drinking knife was drawn, the red sword chi that had already rushed over was shattered before it was completely unsheathed. All the immortals slaying sword chi around Han Fei collapsed almost in an instant. Seeing this scene, Sun Mu frowned even more tightly. "So strong." Outside, Chao Chiu exclaimed, "He's going to attack. Kill him." Ji Wenxuan and Tianishan of the Grand Void Academy swallowed involuntarily. Tianishan asked, "Gong Yuehan was defeated by this knife?" Ji Wenxuan nodded dumbly. "Yes. However, Gong Yuehan took 3 knives at that time. However, senior brother Fan's knife didn't seem to be so strong at that time." Under everyone's surprised gaze, Han Fei's shadow swimming art was almost exerted to the extreme. Covering his waist with one hand, he rushed towards Sun Mu. It was not that Han Fei didn't want to draw his knife at this moment, but that the drawing technique was at its strongest when he was closest to the enemy. If it was an ordinary opponent, it didn't matter if he was a little further away. However, he met someone like Sun Mu, who was almost no weaker than him in both speed and strength. If he wanted to win and hide his strength, he had to get close to him. Ding 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 ding, Sun Mu didn't move, but the sword formation did. The spirit swords that were suspended in the air all fell, and the spirit swords that fell were no longer spirit swords, but had turned into streaks of red sword chi. Red light shines everywhere. Mo Fian, Li Hai, Li Baizhou, 2 swords, and Chao Chiu all exclaimed. Tang Ge had never competed with Sun Mu before, so he frowned and asked, "What do you mean?" Chao Chiu nodded. "There are 4 styles to immortal slaying. The first style is Sword Chi Rampage, the second style is Immortal Guides the Way, the third style is Red Light Everywhere, and the fourth style is Water and Fire Dodge. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to last until the third move, but wasn't Sun Mu's speed too fast this time? This is the third style." Li Hai and Li Baizhou were just about to kill the 2 disciples of the Grand Void Academy, but they stopped when they saw this scene. They wanted to see if Fan Datong could survive the immortal slaying array. If he could, the Grand Void Academy wouldn't be able to offend them for the time being. The blood-drinking knife was drawn out, the sea trembled, and a high-quality battle suit appeared on Han Fei's body. This was not the time to be capricious. The red sword chi was really strong. At this moment, rows of red sword chi formed a formation and swept over from all directions. If he didn't put up some defense, he really wouldn't be able to resist it. Han Fei said to the hexagon starfish via voice transmission, "Master Hexagon, set up a defense array." The hexagon starfish was shivering at this moment. While covering Han Fei with a defense array, it responded, "Hurry up and run. I feel like I'm going to die. I'm going to die." Han Fei shouted, "Shut up. Kill." Clang, 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 the blood-drinking knife was completely unleashed, and dozens of balls of spiritual energy appeared around Han Fei at the same time, exploding at this moment. Han Fei tried to resist the red sword currents with a burst of spiritual energy, but it didn't work at all. The defense array set up by the hexagon starfish on his body only resisted for 1 second before it was broken. Originally, it was only a few hundred meters away. Usually, Han Fei would have reached it. But at this moment, Han Fei was only halfway there. Clank, 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 with a clatter, the high-quality spiritual battle suit on his body was covered with sword marks, and some of them had even been penetrated. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. According to this situation, this high-quality spiritual battle suit would be scrapped in less than 3 waves. Damn it, not enough. The distance is not enough. Han Fei hadn't experienced the feeling of his life hanging by a thread for a long time. At this moment, he was a little excited in his heart. Tang Ge immediately moved and the halberd in his hand trembled, ready to attack. Of course, he could see how terrifying the immortal's slaying formation was. The high-quality spiritual battle suit was almost penetrated in an instant. What would it mean if it happened to his body? He admitted that Han Fei's physique was very strong. However, no matter how strong his physique was, could he resist the opponent's ultra-quality spiritual weapon when facing an opponent of the same level? Tang Ge didn't think he could do it. Even if he had practiced multiple heaven-level combat skills, he couldn't do it. However, just when Tang Ge was about to attack, Xia Xiaochan stepped forward and blocked him. "Don't worry." Tang Ge frowned. At this moment, he didn't like Xia Xiaochan very much. He said coldly, "Are you just going to stand by and watch?" Xia Xiaochan looked indifferent. "You underestimate him." Tang Ge was stunned. "I've overestimated him. The Immortal Slaying formation has been used up to the third move. Even I may not be able to resist such a terrifying attack." As for the others, they were already stunned. "Oh my god, this guy is crazy. He's charging forward just for that slash. How ferocious and domineering. He's the second guy I've seen to charge forward against the Immortal Slaying formation." Someone glanced at him and couldn't help but recall that the first person to charge against the Immortal Slaying formation was Chao Tian. Back then, that demon genius had established himself as the #1 expert among the younger generation. It was not for nothing. Among them, the reason why Chao Tian was able to quickly become the strongest among them was that he was a madman who could fight against the Immortal Slaying formation and go on a rampage. Chao Qiu also exclaimed, "Crazy, crazy." Fan Datong is qualified to be in the top 10 of the heavenly talent list of the 1,000-star city. However, no one asked Chao Qiu about the top 10 of the heavenly talent list. Because in the Immortal Slaying formation, for some reason, the water around Han Fei began to move abnormally. Waves of seawater vortexes seemed to have turned into weapons, rolling like knives. When the second wave of red sword currents hit Han Fei, the high-quality spiritual battle suit he looted had already been broken. When the third wave of red sword currents came, everyone was shocked to find that the red sword currents couldn't move anymore. They were blocked by a seawater vortex. Han Fei grinned. "You forced me to do this." 10 meters, 20 meters, 100 meters, the seawater was completely chaotic. Everyone saw that the seawater around Han Fei was turning into countless water blades, so dense that they couldn't be described with numbers. If they had to describe it, they could only say that there were as many blades as there was seawater. Xia Xiaochan's eyes lit up and she narrowed her eyes. She smiled and said, "Humph, you've finally used it." Gulp. The onlookers all swallowed. Tang Ji's eyes flickered with a strange light and his body trembled faintly. "So strong, too strong. This is my brother. Is this the brother who was ridiculed by countless people back then?" He had never thought that Han Fei, who had never been to the 1,000-star city, could come this far with his own strength. Han Fei's speed was getting faster and faster, and the blood-drinking knife in his hand was already full of knife intent. From thousands of meters away, everyone could feel the intimidating knife light, which was no weaker than the red sword currents of the Immortal Slaying formation. Sun Mu's face finally changed at this moment. He was retreating. Sun Mu couldn't figure out what kind of combat skill Han Fei had to be to turn seawater into such a terrifying water blade. Heaven-level high quality. How could a heaven-level combat skill have such terrifying power? Sun Mu shouted, the fourth move of Immortal Slaying, water and fire avoidance. Swish, swish, swish. When Sun Mu retreated, the red sword currents scattered into rays of red light and returned to Sun Mu in an instant. There were 107 rays of light, and they all gathered on the ultra-quality spiritual sword in front of Sun Mu. When Han Fei and Sun Mu were only a dozen meters away, the fourth move of Immortal Slaying sword appeared. In an instant, the water waves were pushed away. At the bottom of the water, as if a nuclear explosion had taken place, a big round ball wrapped Han Fei and Sun Mu in it. There was nothing but whiteness around them. Except for the continuous rolling ripples, nothing could be seen. The explosion shock wave radiated outward, At this moment, Xia Xiaochan's face changed and she rushed out first. Following her were Tang Gu, Two Swords, Chao Qiu, and then Mo Fian, Li Hai, and Li Baizhou. This last blow was too strong. So that when a large group of people was about 300 meters away from the explosion point, they could still feel the raging, violent knife intent and sword chi in the seawater. However, before they could see the situation inside the big white water ball, someone suddenly covered his stomach. Ouch! Did I accidentally get hit? Han Fei didn't know how long it would take for Chao Qiu's Poison King to take effect. So, when he launched this blow, he secretly put a bowl of Poison King in it. When colliding with the fourth move of the Immortals' Slaying formation, Han Fei directly wrapped himself in the Infinity Water. However, there was still a difference between the Omniscient Water and the Infinity Water. Xia Xiaochan could transform the Omniscient Water at any time, but Han Fei could only transform it into weapons for the time being. It was barely enough to protect himself. Of course, Han Fei wasn't afraid. Chao Qiu said that these spiritual herbs were all collected in the level 3 fishery. Since he had eaten the venomous tulip, he should be more resistant to poison than anyone else present. Unless someone else here had also taken the venomous tulip. When the big white ball broke into dense small bubbles and then gradually disappeared, everyone finally saw the situation inside. Han Fei's clothes were torn, and only a ragged shorts were left on his body. However, the almost perfect streamlined muscles on his body looked so explosive. Han Fei half knelt on the ground, the upper half of his body covered with fine bloodstains, and the seawater in front of him was dyed red. And Sun Mu was much more miserable than Han Fei. In front of him, an amulet was cut in half and fell to the ground. Only half of the high-quality spiritual suit on his body was left. On his body, there was a huge wound from his shoulder to his waist. At this moment, Sun Mu's body was covered with a faint layer of cyan mist. Obviously, this was another amulet, and it was a relatively good one. Even so, Sun Mu was half lying on the ground, and there was more blood mist in the seawater beside him than on Han Fei's side. Han Fei cursed in his heart. Fighting with these people is really a headache. Is this bastard so strong? In terms of attack power alone, Sun Mu was even stronger than Yang Diu. Han Fei didn't cast the divine healing technique on himself, but stood up again with his feet. At the same time, a high-quality spiritual suit appeared on his body. Han Fei twisted his neck and pointed at Sun Mu with one hand. Without the amulet, you would have been dead just now. Sun Mu's subordinates hurriedly swam over. Two spirit gatherers were casting healing techniques on Sun Mu. Sun Mu struggled to stand up and said with difficulty, "Who the hell are you? If the Grand Void Academy had the combat skills you just used, we wouldn't have been suppressed by the other sects until now." Han Fei ignored him but said to Chao Qiu via voice transmission, "Why is there no reaction after such a long time? Did I put too little poison? I only put one bowl. Is it not enough?" Chao Qiu's eyes widened. "You put one bowl in." Chao Qiu hurriedly pulled two swords. "Go to the next floor, hurry up." With that, Chao Qiu's figure faded. Wang Zitian paused, took a deep look at Han Fei, and then his body also faded. "Huh?" Mo Fian was slightly taken aback. "Why are they running? I'll go to the next floor and have a look." Mo Fian felt that something was wrong. This guy who suddenly appeared was with Chao Qiu. Even a fool knew what Chao Qiu's purpose was. He had been trying to kill them for a long time. There must be something wrong with this guy. When Mo Fian's body also faded, Han Fei saw that the two guys from the Grand Void Academy hadn't left yet and thought to himself, "It's not my fault. I fucking warned you long ago. If I hadn't wanted to pretend to be you, I would have taught you a lesson long ago." Mu Ling's expression changed slightly. How powerful is the poison? Why did Chao Qiu just run away? The water prison technique can't be withdrawn. This is the Poison King. Mu Ling's heart skipped a beat and she secretly added another layer of seal to her feet. She didn't know what the Poison King was, but Xia Xiaochan and Han Fei were on the same side. Since she said so, she must have some basis. Sun Mu was still waiting for Han Fei's reply, and Han Fei glanced at the crowd. When he saw someone clutching his stomach with an ugly expression and his face turning blue, he looked back at Sun Mu. It's because I'm suppressed by the other sex that I can't show up easily. If you lose, won't you give me your sea-swallowing seashell? Sun Mu gritted his teeth. When did I bet with you on my sea-swallowing seashell? Han Fei snorted. Coward, it's just a sea-swallowing seashell. Do you think I can't get it just because you hide it? Suddenly, Sun Mu seemed to find something wrong and immediately retreated dozens of meters. But no matter how he retreated, he couldn't feel anything. What was wrong? Puff. Puff. Puff, ah. My stomach is broken. Not good, EW. There's something in the water, puff. Puff. Puff, gudu. Gudu, almost like a chain reaction, there was a lot of farting sounds in the seawater, which lasted for a long time. At that moment, except for Han Fei, Xia Xiaochan, Mu Ling, and Tang Gu, everyone else, including Sun Mu, was clutching their stomachs. Sun Mu's eyes were cold. You poisoned it. Han Fei didn't deny it but said to Tang Gu and the other two via voice transmission, you go to the next floor first. Seeing that the situation was under control, Tang Gu didn't hesitate and went directly to the next floor. However, when he left, he had a weird look on his face. Is this the Poison King? Why did the Poison King fart? Xia Xiaochan's face was already dark. She ran away as soon as possible. She felt disgusted. Han Fei, on the other hand, smiled creepily. A gentleman doesn't stand under a dangerous wall. There are so many of you. How can I fight them one by one? To tell you the truth, I made this poison with thousands of spiritual herbs when I traveled in the level 3 fishery for several months. Its toxicity is unprecedented. It's the most terrifying and frightening poison. People will vomit and have diarrhea for 7 days. If you don't have the antidote, you can find a hole and start to poop. Han Fei shamelessly attributed this invention to his own invention, which could greatly shape his terrifying image. Li Hai scoffed, damn it, disgusting. You've pissed us off. Li Baizhou scoffed, Fan Datong, if you have the ability, why did you use such a dirty trick? Someone cursed, damn it, give me the antidote, puff, senior brother Fan, the antidote. EW, Han Fei blinked his eyes. Don't send me voice transmissions. 100 people are sending me voice transmissions. My head is in a mess. Whoever throws their sea-swallowing seashells to me first, I will give them the antidote first. There are only 100 antidotes. However, there are obviously more than 100 people here. Let's see which of you is faster. Someone cursed, lunatic, you will become the public enemy of all the major sections. Han Fei turned his head, only to see a young man glaring at him fiercely. So, Han Fei smiled and said, okay, you don't have the antidote. I won't give you a hard time. Just get the hell out of here. The man's face turned green. Damn it, I just wanted to vent my anger. Senior brother Fan, hurry up, the antidote. I can't hold on any longer. Ji Wenxuan swam over. In midair, a strange color floated out of his pants. Han Fei's face changed greatly. He pointed at him and scolded, don't come over. Didn't I tell you to go? Why are you still here? Han Fei frowned. Fuck, I really don't want to give them the antidote. My identity as the last disciple of the Dean of the Grand Void Academy will be exposed as soon as I leave the steps into the sea, wait. Suddenly, Han Fei flicked his fingers and 2 drops of antidote flew to Ji Wenxuan and Tian Yishan respectively. Han Fei said, Junior brother, finish it quickly. Tian Yishan couldn't hold on anymore. He was already lying on the ground. When the antidote flew over, he immediately jumped out with his last strength and swallowed it. But the turbid seawater almost made Han Fei vomit. Suddenly, a set of black clothes appeared in Han Fei's hand, and then he put it on in front of everyone. Once again, the hat of malicious spirits seducing souls was placed on his head. Han Fei shook his body and turned back into the black and white ghosts, which stunned everyone for a moment. You are really not a disciple of the Grand Void Academy. Han Fei smiled. Wrong. In order to restore the glory of the Grand Void Academy, Xie Xiaoan and I have worked hard for 3 years to achieve what we have today. We are the weapons cultivated by the Grand Void Academy, the black and white ghosts. In this battle, the Grand Void Academy will return to its peak. Han Fei thought that no one knew the origin of the black and white ghosts anyway. Since he had pretended to be the last disciple of the Dean of the Grand Void Academy, he might as well put the black and white ghosts in the Grand Void Academy's name. It was nothing more than framing them one more time. Ji Wenxuan and Tian Yishan's faces turned green. Is this really our senior brother? Although the antidote was given, they almost instantly expected a consequence. After leaving the steps into the sea, would they be beaten to death by the crowd? The two looked at each other and their bodies immediately faded away. Seeing the two sea-swallowing seashells run away, Han Fei was a little unhappy. But it didn't matter. It was good to let the Grand Void Academy take the blame first. By the time these people figured out the truth, he and Xia Xiaochan would have already left the steps into the sea. At that time, in the level 3 fishery, he would be free. Who could catch him? Puff. Puff. Puff, goo goo, ew. Han Fei protected himself in disgust and then said, no one is willing to leave their sea-swallowing seashells to me, right? Fine, I don't want them either. I'm leaving. Bye, everyone. Wait a minute. The first to shout was none other than Sun Mu, who was closest to Han Fei, followed by Li Hai and Li Baizhou. They couldn't hold it in any longer. However, as the descendants of the big clans, their sense of honor forbade them from showing themselves in front of the world in this way. They had even expected that this matter would spread throughout the Thousand-Star City. At that time, they would definitely become the laughingstock of the Thousand-Star City. Sun Mu and the Li twins threw their sea-swallowing seashells over. The moment Han Fei caught the sea-swallowing seashells, he smiled and threw out a drop of antidote. It was just that this antidote was a little watery, but it shouldn't be a problem to suppress it for a while. With these three taking the lead, hundreds of sea-swallowing seashells were thrown over at once, and Han Fei almost couldn't catch them. As a result, a large number of antidotes were thrown out by Han Fei. Han Fei also said to the others via voice transmission, I'm a man of integrity. I only rob people of their wealth and never take their lives. Don't worry. Han Fei would have been fine if he hadn't said this. But now that he said this, everyone really wanted to kill him. Sun Mu and Li Hai seemed to be talking to each other via voice transmission, but Han Fei didn't care. How could they have combat power so quickly? However, in case these people recovered, Han Fei continued, I will stay for another 5 minutes. If you don't throw your sea-swallowing seashells to me, I don't want them anymore. Puff. Puff. In the chaos of farting, Han Fei received another batch of sea-swallowing seashells. When the last sea-swallowing seashells were collected, many people had already begun to have spiritual energy surging in their bodies, which scared Han Fei so much that his body faded and he entered the next level. Damn it! Li Hai shouted, I must kill him. Li Baizhou shouted, he can't run away. Once he returns to the Thousand-Star City, kill him. Sun Mu said, let's get out of here first. For a moment, many people were speechless. The seawater was full of turbid things, which was extremely disgusting. On the steps into the sea, Yang Diyu asked for some sea-swallowing seashells with his own identity. Then, he took some basic necessities and threw them into the sea-swallowing seashells. He was about to leave when he heard exclamations behind him. Yang Diyu was taken aback. Huh? Why is it so noisy? Did some kind of amazing treasure appear? Young master, it seems that someone came out of the steps into the sea again. Yang Diyu was slightly taken aback. Is it necessary to make such a big noise just because someone came out? Who? Who? Tell me, where are the people from the Grand Void Academy? I'm going to kill them. A roar came from a distance. Yang Diyu was immediately stunned. Huh? It sounds like the voice of that bastardly Hai. Let's go and have a look. When Yang Diyu arrived, he discovered a large group of people. They were all disciples of the major sections. Even Sun Mu was among them. Yang Diyu was amused. Hey! Sun Mu, why are you here too? Pooh! 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 In the crowd, a disciple of the Mountain Sea Pavilion suddenly farted. Ew! Immediately afterward, someone began to vomit. Fuck, the surrounding crowd suddenly dispersed a lot. You are already a fucking peak-level dangling fisher. Why are you still farting? And why is it so loud? Someone said in disgust, huh? What's that smell? Pooh. Pooh, Yang Diyu was speechless. Are you done? Have you taken the wrong medicine? Just as Yang Diyu was feeling disgusted, Li Baizhou farted as well. Sun Mu quickly flashed past the steps into the sea and ran out of the steps into the sea. Damn it, we were tricked. Ah! Bastard, I'll kill you. Hurry up and find a place. I can't hold it anymore. Yang Diyu and the group of fish-eating people were dumbfounded. What's going on? Half a day later. When the news that Fan Datong released poison on the 200th floor of the steps into the sea spread, Yang Diyu felt cold all over and his back was covered with cold sweat. Yang Diyu sighed. Fortunately, I came out early. Otherwise. Yang Diyu shivered and then laughed. Let's go. I'm happy. Let's go to the secret realm in 2 days. I'm going to see where Sun Mu is hiding. Yang Diyu was enjoying the show, but others weren't. Many people were horrified. The black and white ghosts have already reached the 200th floor. Even the heavenly talents of the 1,000-star city have been driven out by them. For a time, the black and white ghosts were in the limelight. Some people even began to dig up the secrets of the black and white ghosts. On the 201st floor of the steps into the sea, Han Fei patted his chest and then grinned. What a fruitful harvest! What a fruitful harvest! The hexagon starfish said, Human, I have a feeling that you will be beaten to death if you go out. Han Fei chuckled. Don't worry, I have the 1,000 faces technique. At this moment, Han Fei even admired Chao Qiu, the little fatty. Although this guy was not good at fighting, his ability to invent and create was really terrifying. Just now, he had almost lost control of himself and was about to vomit when he heard the sound of 10,000 farts. At this moment, Han Fei scanned the sea-swallowing seashells one by one. The more he looked, the more smiles he had on his face. TSK, as expected of a disciple of a major sect. So many good things. If these sea-swallowing seashells are sold on the ghost ship, how much can they be sold for? I wonder if there are 100 million. Han Fei grinned and picked out the soul crystals in these sea-swallowing seashells one by one. After collecting all the sea-swallowing seashells, Han Fei was shocked to find that there were nearly 300 soul crystals for these people alone. In total, it had reached the level of 1 per person. Wow! Awesome, awesome! Sure enough, robbing is much easier than fighting. Han Fei looked around and didn't feel the ripples, so he sat on the ground. 1, 2. When 2 soul crystals were absorbed, Han Fei suddenly felt refreshed. He seemed to feel a burst of enlightenment. He could remember the god-scaring painting now. At this point, 10 soul crystals had been absorbed, but the god-scaring painting had no reaction at all. But as soon as the 11th soul crystal was absorbed, the god-scaring painting in his mind shook. Immediately, Han Fei's eyes flashed and he continued to eat. 1, 2, 10, another 10 soul crystals were absorbed. Han Fei suddenly opened his eyes and released his spiritual perception. The next moment, Han Fei was stunned. Wow! Han Fei suddenly stood up. Wait! Didn't you say it was 50 meters? Why has my perception range increased by 500 meters? The hexagon starfish asked, can you give me a few? Did I make a contribution? Han Fei immediately took out 10 soul crystals. Come on, Master Hexagon, how large is your perception range now? The hexagon starfish couldn't believe it when he saw Han Fei take out 10 soul crystals and throw them in front of him. Then he waved his hand and the 10 soul crystals disappeared in the blink of an eye. The hexagon starfish yelled, I'm big. Even larger than the height of that big red trunk. Han Fei frowned. So large? However, Han Fei had serious doubts about the hexagon starfish's mathematical ability. So he took out his fishing rod and said, feel where my fishing hook lands. Feel it carefully, 1,000 meters away. Han Fei asked, is there a problem here? No problem. 1,500 meters away. What about here? No problem. It turned out that Han Fei's estimation was right. The hexagon starfish's perception range was very large, reaching 2,400 meters. Han Fei had just increased it by 500 meters, so his perception range was only 1,000 meters in total. He wondered if his perception range would continue to increase if he continued to use it. Master Hexagon Starfish, digest it now. Don't keep any of the 10 soul crystals. The Hexagon Starfish found it incredible. How could Han Fei be so generous? Soul crystals. 10 at a time. Han Fei continued to sit down and continued to use the soul crystals excitedly. 1. 2. At this moment, Han Fei already felt that a single soul crystal seemed to have an effect. However, because he hadn't memorized the fragments of the God-scaring painting, this effect wouldn't increase his perception range. However, when the number of 10 soul crystals passed and another fragment of the God-scaring painting was memorized, Han Fei found that his perception range had expanded by another 500 meters. Shoot! Han Fei was dumbfounded and immediately looked at the hexagon starfish. Master Hexagon Starfish, how is it? How much has your perception range increased? Master Hexagon Starfish? I haven't started absorbing yet. Han Fei. So slow. Han Fei's heart was thumping non-stop. Chao Qiu said that Chao Tian's perception range was only 3,300 meters. No matter how powerful he was, he could at most increase it to 4,000 meters. If Han Fei guessed right, the increase of his perception range had little to do with the soul crystals. The soul crystals were just the key to opening the God-scaring painting. And the God-scaring painting was the key to the increase of his perception range. The 6 big eyes of the hexagon starfish were spinning like gyroscopes. Because it found that Han Fei took out 10 soul crystals every few hundred minutes. He had taken them out 7 or 8 times. As a starfish, it was very panicked and felt that there was nowhere to place its tentacles. So fast. My first soul crystal hasn't moved yet. How many have you absorbed? 80? 100? You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.